dealing with the horrible divide that we have between each other over the past few years, whether it was politics separating us, or whether it was, police versus civilians, or whether it was civilian. It used to be back in the 70s, military were the bad guys because we were baby killers for going overseas. We have to remove these stigmas that separate us and really connect as human beings, because we're not all that different. We might look different, like you're darker than me, you got a better hat than me. I don't even have a hat on today, so you never know.
It's not about the hat. It's about the man wearing the hat.
Yes, pretty much. And that's what I try to do, and a lot of my work is put that across to the world, that we do need people to step up. We do need people to not be silent and not be intimidated by whatever is said on the news, because going out and talking to your neighbors will change your perspective. Me coming to see you here is definitely something I was excited about too, because you're not my neighbor directly, but you're my neighbor as far as you're a veteran, you're in my community, so that community doesn't have to be just the people who live next to you. We all come from different walks of life, but we got to find common ground.
And I believe that the best common ground that we have right now is our children. Mm-hmm. That is one of the things. Oh, Jesus, why can't I get this thing to sit right? There we go. That is one of the things that I think that almost anybody who is out there in the world can pretty much agree on, is that we as a people have a duty and an obligation to keep our children safe. Regardless of what political side that you sit on, regardless of what your religious preference is, we as American people, we as parents believe, and we should do what is necessary to keep our kids safe.
Absolutely. And it should be something about extreme measures. So, for instance, I'm just going to give a couple examples. And for those listening, this might be a little bit raw and honest, but we need raw and honest conversations, especially in America, because we can't have that here. So, me as a concealed carry, citizen, I walk around with my gun at a sight, at a mind. Someone who's bothering normal citizens walking down the street, they're not going to have any interaction with me. I might tell people to leave people alone sometimes, but I'm not a community police officer, right? I'm not the morality police, and I'm not in charge of telling people to act right or properly. But what I do is constantly walk around with not just my concealed carry pistol and some extra ammo in case it gets hairy, but I walk around with medical supplies. I have medical supplies in my vehicle. I avidly train to make sure that I'm up to the standards needing to interdict if there's an issue and stop from bleeding. Stopping the bleed courses are essential. Basic first aid.
Wait, hold up real quick. What do you mean stopping the bleed courses?
So there's classes out there called Stop the Bleed classes, and I really recommend that everybody goes to one. Absolutely, brother. Is that better? All right, it probably sounds better.
But I just don't want to pick up your voice and mine as well.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do here is adjust mine to where, hey, what's up, brother? Good to see you. So it picks up mine, and as you're talking, I don't want it to pick up as well, so it doesn't blend and sound funky.
I got you, man.
There you go. Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah,
awesome.
That's perfect.
So Stop the Bleed classes are something that's provided in your area. And all you have to do is Google it. We have this click of a button, cool phone thing that we got going on. So all you got to do is click that and head over to, your local area. Your fire department might have it. Any firefighter would be more than happy usually to spend time if you have a question. Hey, I don't understand this. Or you can go on YouTube even and look up Stop the Bleed class and what's taught in it, or how to apply a tourniquet. You can look up what is the difference between a patch versus a plug versus a tourniquet part on the body, not just with gunshot wounds, but with other things as well. So something that me and my family do, honestly and openly, is encourage other people and also spend time with them training, because training happens for the military, right? And you've gone through a lot of training. We sit down.
It's a regular thing.
It's a regular thing.
It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so normal.
And training for the family should be a normal thing. We tell our children, okay, I want you to go to school, and I want you to learn from these great human beings who are our teachers, and I want you to follow the rules and learn something new and tell me what you learned. As adults, it's great to look at our counterparts in our community and tell them that, this is what I learned with my family, and this is what me and my family are doing. So something that me and my family do is, as people who are okay with carrying firearms honorably, responsibly, and legally, we have to continue that training cycle, because if you fall into stagnancy with self-growth, you'll feel down, feel very upset. You won't feel stagnancy is not a good thing ever. So I love when I'm spending time training with my family. If I take my wife's 11-year-old brother and say, okay, today we're going to learn about how to put on tourniquets. And he said, I already know. I said, it doesn't matter if you already know. Today we're going to make sure that we continue to know, because, you forget things over time.
It's like one of those perishable skills.
Yes, brother.
Right? If you're not using it actively, you're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you know how to apply a tourniquet correctly, who's to say that this situation or this bullet wound or this limb, this situation is the same? It's not. It's never the same. You can train specific situations at specific times, but the reality is, when push comes to shove, I don't know exactly what kind of wound you're going to have. You know what I mean? I don't know until it's there. Mm-hmm. And even I might have a basic knowledge of how to apply a tourniquet on your leg, right? It might be different if you're bleeding out on your neck. I don't want to put a tourniquet on your neck.
Yeah, tourniquets on necks don't help.
You know what I mean? But if I know how to do it, and if someone's bleeding out and they try to crank a tourniquet on your neck, it's not going to work.
It's happened.
I know it has.
For us, it's a joke, but it has happened. Some people have made those horrible mistakes. Being overconfident, egotistical, and irresponsible with knowledge, and with the great thing that we have here with the internet. It's at a click of a button. We're sharing our knowledge and our experiences and just our feelings with the rest of the world right now with a click of a button. So one thing I will tell everybody is that I do encourage you to go out and train. I do encourage you to practice situation-based training with your family members. When I was growing up, it was very, very normal, at least once a month, to practice escaping a fire blindfolded in your house. It's called egress, right?
Right, egress drills. Mm-hmm. I do that with my kids.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, are we going to do a fire drill this week? Yeah.
Yes.
You have to.
Middle of the night, pots and pans. And that, I make a joke when I say that, but it's a very serious thing. Integrating stress or different factors, being tired, being sleepy, all these things are very important for training. And it goes for law enforcement as well as us. So when I say that I'm doing training with my family, it might be yelling the word gun in my house. If you yell the word gun in my house, everybody is going to find a firearm. Who needs to find a firearm? Kids don't need to find firearms.
But they have the training necessary if it were to happen.
Yes. Oh, yes. All the way down to the kids in our house. They know exactly what to do. They know to put the dogs away so that the people who are more vulnerable to the situation and who might not be prepared for a bad situation are completely out of the area. And I'm not going to go into every single security measure in my house, but that is one of the most important things. Hiding and protecting people who are less prone to do great violence when it's important to do. Violence is not necessarily an answer to a problem, but it can be a solution to some. So if someone's breaking into your home, hey Jackson, put away the dogs in our room. Mom, you just chill downstairs. Me and Rihanna got this. I have one of my dogs that is completely comfortable with checking every single room in the house, and he's good with that. But that's just one of my dogs, and not necessarily a attack dog or whatever stigma that society puts out. But it's important to have a plan of action for something as simple as a fire. You hear breaking glass in the middle of the night. You have to have these things. You have to have ways to communicate with your family where they already know what's going on. So training and integrating stress into it, so with the middle of the night or stuff like that. It's important to set training environments and say, hey, in the next 24 hours, we're going to have a fire drill. We're going to have this. Let's talk about what we're going to do and make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Do you think that more families, more American families that are not militaristic, police or first responder type families, do you believe that these types of drills should be implemented regularly throughout every household?
100%, brother. I mean, I didn't start off as this person that's okay with carrying a pistol. There was many years I did not do it. I grew up in, like, as far as politics go, I'm going to probably try to leave that out there. But there's a time where I grew up where guns weren't a thing in my life.
Right.
Maybe at Boy Scout camp. Maybe at Boy Scout camp we'll send some shots or whatever. But nothing. The thought of violence wasn't a thing when I was a kid. If you brought a knife to school by accident, you were a bad person when I was growing up.
Dude, I got arrested for a knife.
Yes. I almost,
school.
my stepdad put a steak knife he was using in the garage, and my backpack is kept at the garage when I was growing up. So he'd come back from a court effort base, and he was using a steak knife to cut something instead of scissors. So I always get on about this. Use the right tool. But he
Use the right tools, yeah.
He's just using a steak knife at the time, and he left it in my backpack as a child. So I went to school with a backpack
And a steak knife.
And we leave our backpacks open on hooks outside of the classroom. Something I really recommend every school adopts. So you bring in your stuff you need, and then backpacks, sweatshirts, unless you're cold, they all hung up outside of the classroom, just past the door. So the teacher has time not just to step in, but also you don't have any other distractions. You don't have your cell phone going off.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that my wife's little brother's school does this as well, but it's still inside the classroom. So not necessarily a bad thing, but we left it all outside. And so obviously my backpack's open, so a steak knife, it's the black set with the little silver pins. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody growing up in the 90s had the same set.
The same steak knife.
So
the same exact one.
I got brought into the counselor's office, and I remember walking out of the classroom, and I said, "Here, I'll get my backpack," and my backpack wasn't there. So
they already had it?
Yes, they had my backpack. So security measures are very simple, especially for schools, and I know we're going to get into that soon, can be very beneficial. So I think that every family should really consider what can we do to make our kids safe. And it doesn't have to be at a government level, because a lot of times the government will add a letter or a law or a piece of paper that signifies you're not supposed to do something, and it is just that. It's a piece of paper.
And then no actions actually taken to help.
None.
Except for further restrictions for law-abiding citizens.
And that doesn't really help people. If I'm okay with helping protect others, why tell me that I need to have less tools in doing that if the worst came to worst? I've seen. You can go on police activity right now on YouTube and watch cops freeze up. You can watch civilians step in when that happens and help support our law enforcement officers. Well, the Leos aren't supposed to be a standalone force, and they're not fighting crime. They're responding to crimes. We as human beings and Americans, we can integrate how we operate. And it's not for everybody. I'm not ever going to tell somebody who's not comfortable with guns, you know what? I will never tell you, as a person who doesn't want to use firearms in their life, to use firearms. That's not my place to push on you. Just like it's not your place to push on me not protecting my family. I'm okay with sacrificing anything that I own, or my body, or my life, and the happy moments in my life where I have a great relationship with my wife, the moment where I'm sitting here with you right now. I'm willing to sacrifice that just so another person can have another day on this earth. And I'm okay with that. And I'll stand on my word too. But
that's one of the greatest feelings, right? Is because you're humble enough to know that you're okay with just that.
Yes.
You don't need everything else.
No.
You're comfortable enough with just doing that, and then utilizing that small piece of the pie to show the rest of the world or community what it is you're able to do if we come together. Because it's like you said, it's not just the law enforcement's job to protect us or to do this. It's a community thing. I believe it takes a village to raise children and to be better, like to your community. That doesn't stop. That starts with protecting our community and our kids to be able to do better and be prosperous and be better than we are.
Exactly.
But they're not going to do that if they don't see us stepping up and showing that you can step up out of the norm and don't just rely on them to respond or react. This is the biggest problem I see right now with even the current plan that they do have in place with our very, very small SRO force. It's all a reactive plan. There are zero proactive plans other than what we're proposing right now, especially in our state.
Yes.
There are zero proactive plans put in place except for what we are proposing right now, which is an issue to me, but it's also a blessing because since no one else is doing it, it gives us the opportunity to try something new. Because what's the worst thing? They say no, right? They say no, or they try to do something different and it makes it worse.
Yes.
Either way, my plan, which if you look at the full plan and actually listen to what it is that we're doing, it's almost like it doesn't fail because you're putting all of the right people and right jobs in place, the right background checks, the right training, before we even put these people next to our kids in school. You know what I mean?
Yes, brother.
Which is a lot further extensive than some of the teachers that they're hiring and putting into these schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's further extensive than the bus drivers that are driving our kids around. They go through the basic school background checks and stuff like that, and cool, you got the job. You know what I mean?
I'm currently right now renewing my security clearance. So,
And okay, so how many bus drivers have security clearances?
I can't tell you, man. I don't. And
You see what I'm saying?
I really don't think, maybe a couple vets. Maybe.
Exactly. How many teachers and school administrators currently have security clearances? So that level of trust right there is already beneath some of the level that the government would trust you and I for.
And this is the government saying, "Hey, this person's clear and safe." And just like an unloaded firearm, once you verify it, it's clear and safe. I've been verified. You've been verified. And now I'm renewing my verification to make sure, before it's even expired, to make sure that people have a thorough understanding of, who they're dealing with. No matter what job and career field I am. Like right now, I work on elevators and escalators, and it's great to work on elevators and escalators. I have no idea what my future holds, but I know it's going to be doing something that makes a direct impact on not just children, but community. And it's so essential for people who are able to do that. And so it brings back to the point of, you're not required to do that. You're not required, like in other countries, to serve the military. It's a volunteer thing. We sign up to get, and there's a lot of reasons people are negative about the military after their experience. Low pay, bad conditions, but at the end of the day, we signed up for that. Dictatorship? Yes. But at the end of the day, we signed up for that. Yeah. I'm never going to tell anybody else you should sign up for the military just because you have an opinion. This is America. We all have opinions, and it's important to have them.
Let me ask you this real quick, because I've flip-flopped back and forth on this. I couldn't tell you how many times, Eddie.
Okay.
But because a part of me has felt that, you know what, I think it would do a justice for our country to make service mandatory. Right? It'll make men again. It'll make people stronger and force them to step out of their comfort zone and do something different. Right? But at the same time, I also recognize that because we have an all-volunteer force, the beauty and the passion that comes behind each individual that wants to serve today.
Yes, brother.
Which is not going to be the same if you're forced to join the military and go to war. The difference is, I know if you're serving with me and we're going downrange, you volunteered and knew exactly what the outcome could be. Worst case scenario, you die, you don't come back home. That's worst case, right? Yeah. That's reality. But you volunteered to have my back downrange and vice versa, regardless of branch of service or whatnot. If you're on the sea and I'm on the land and we're calling in for support from you guys,
it's going to show up.
It's going to show up. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. All that matters is that we have that American flag, right?
Yes,
and
brother.
Every single person on that ship or on the ground with me or in the trucks volunteered to be there. Okay? Excuse me, guys. So, out. So, with that, because we have an all-volunteer force, that just shows you the passion and dedication that these individuals have in our country, as opposed to the other countries that have, like you said, the mandatory service, for however many years. So when I look at individuals who serve today or have served in our military since the draft, and it's been 100% all volunteer, these are the same individuals that I want to have working for me, protecting our kids. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
because
brother.
they already understand what the outcome, the worst case scenario could be, but are willing to do that so our future can prosper.
Yes. So I flip-flopped as well. I think, we have to look very deep into these questions because we're talking about a lot of stuff. I would never wish for anybody to experience, without signing up for it, what we experienced, right?
Right.
And I also, at the same time, I look at other countries where they have these mandatory service requirements, stuff like that.
Right.
And we look at who's sending these kids to it. Usually it's a completely horrible government that wants just more power, more control, so that the rich people and the politicians don't have to serve, but the ants in their eyes do.
The pawns.
Yes, the pawns. And I'm not necessarily like too big on that or whatever. I would say that it's an idea to have people do mandatory service, but at the same time, if we look at the world right now, and if I look at my neighbor, would I want my neighbor's kids serving, no matter what? I would not want them to do that. I'd want them to have an option.
An option, yeah.
For a peaceful life. Now, will I want them to have more perspective and be around veterans? Yes. Would I want them to have more perspective and to go to the new veterans park they just unveiled in Linwood? Yes. Would I want them to understand what a Gold Star mother and father are? Absolutely. Would I want them to feel some type of emotional attachment to the American flag? Yeah. Because the American flag represents so many different things. It doesn't just mean straight white male or straight black male. It means gay, straight, Christian, this, that, whatever. Whatever separates you because society says this makes you different, that American flag represents that it's okay to be here. And anybody who said otherwise, anybody who's on a negative side and doesn't say, you don't belong in America, they're an idiot. And they don't belong here. And
I agree with you. I have mixed children. Mm-hmm. My children are black and Mexican.
Yeah.
Right? And should my kids choose to have their own kids later on, mm-hmm. those kids are automatically going to be mixed because my kids are already mixed.
Yeah.
To me, that is the most beautiful thing possible.
Yes.
Because it just shows you in this one country, mm-hmm. we have a melting pot of cultures, races, religions. It does not matter.
At all.
It doesn't matter.
It matters on an individual level, like this is who I am, which is good.
Which is fine.
But
to
it
just
doesn't
know
matter
who you are.
Yes, but it doesn't matter when it comes to
you're better than me because of this.
No, man. If someone told me right now that I was oppressed, I'd get really angry. And the reason being is this. My grandpa...
Thank you for saying this, by the way.
Well, it's just my opinion. I might be wrong. It might not be other perspective, but it's mine. So I'm going to share it. So my grandpa fought in the Vietnam War. My stepdad, who stuck up and stepped up when my father did not, is a 26-year Air Force vet and works at Boeing, a great father, and also looks out for all of his kids. Me passing the torch down to him, was his father who flew in Vietnam as well. So we had one in the air and one on the ground. My neighbor up the street is white. He grew up in the same era. He doesn't see me as anything other than a veteran, right? And I'm going to explain what that is. It's because in the military, we take somebody from Kentucky, from Illinois, from Virginia, from Norfolk, right? The worst place ever. No, I'm joking. Have
you been to Leesville?
Okay. Wait. All jokes. So from Seattle, you take somebody from this area or from some podunk town that, as they refer to it, who has no name, who was going to grow up to be a farmer.
Yep.
Just like
working
his dad.
At the post office, or
and his hands will be bleeding every day from tilling soil because he couldn't afford machinery just to make it. You take all these people and you stick them in a room, you strip them down, you make them shower together, you make them eat together, you make them sleep together in different racks and stuff like that.
You essentially make them all equals.
Yes.
You break them down as all equals because the beauty of it is it didn't matter if you came in the military with $100,000 and I came in with $2. Mm-hmm. If we're both enlisted privates, the drill sergeants are going to do their best and break us down.
Yes, brother.
That's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And that really removes these things that separate us. So I would say that it's important for people to have an understanding of what the military goes through and not just that stuff they put out on the Hollywood or talk about in the news. The news is completely just controlled narratives, and you can't say or ask things outside of it, or they'll rush you off of it.
You can't ask the real questions.
Yes.
The questions that the people want to know. Like, okay, if there's X amount of sexual assaults in the military, how come it's not being investigated?
Oh my God.
Or better yet, how come it took so long for someone to step up and do something about it? And how come the rest of the world doesn't know about it?
100%.
But
why is there?
Wait, real quick. But all you see right now on the headlines is Twitter this, Taylor Swift that. I'm so sick of it. I can't do it. Like, I look at it now, and I literally just see propaganda. Propaganda. That's all I see.
Well,
and
we're exposed to other countries where we see what propaganda is, and we're going over there. We're seeing how people are controlled by certain narratives, through the media, through word of mouth, through violent terrorism, chopping people's head off
which is currently happening right now in 2022.
Which is currently happening right now. If you go to another country and you remove your hijab in Iran, you will be beat or killed or sentenced to death in the street by their secret police.
Not to mention if you're a Uyghur Muslim in China, where they ship you off into a concentration camp and re-education camp, and then do what they please with you. Currently happening right now, but we don't talk about it.
Exactly.
But Taylor Swift, you better get them tickets.
I better get them tickets. They're going fast. You know what? Just to be transparent, Taylor Swift has been putting out some bangers since I was in middle school. That being said, there's some serious stuff going on.
I'm not a Taylor Swift fan at all, but
me either.
I just find it really interesting how they put so much emphasis on those things right now, knowing all of us are fed up with the bullshit. We're fed up with it.
Oh, we can swear?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell the truth now.
As long as it's not racist or anything like that to get us kicked off TikTok. But these stuff, we can say whatever we want.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I just want to say, first, fuck. Second, yes, it's essential. Like, we understand what propaganda is because we've seen it in different countries and we've seen how they are molded by it. There's nothing great about someone else telling your neighbor's children that they're oppressed, inherently racist, or worse, they're bad because they're white. Okay? I am not for that. Like, my wife is white, right? My mother's white. My dad's black as night. I got a grandpa that's a Black Panther and a different one on my mom's side that wouldn't hold me as a child because I was black. I have different perspectives from different cultures, right?
Within your own family.
Yes. I remember
within
my
your
mom,
own family.
Yes. I remember my mom wanting to try so hard, and she's Googling it back when we had dial-up AOL, trying to celebrate Kwanzaa to make sure I had an understanding of my cultural roots. I know I come from the Zulu tribe. I'm a direct descendant of the Zulu tribe. I understand that. I understand that I'm French and something else on the white side, right? My mom never got back to me on that part. Maybe I'll do a 20-and-3andMe. But
yeah, dude, I recommend it. I really do. I did it. I did it last Christmas, bro. It's changed my life. Just because when you actually look at, like, because you do your DNA, right? And you look at, like, where you come from, all the way down to, like, your fifth cousin and how your family bloodline has branched out since the beginning. It is breathtaking, dude.
Oh, man.
Like, and me and my daughter, we'll pull it up every once in a while and just look at it and, like, dang, because, like, a lot of mine is from, like, West Africa, Nigeria. Oh, yes. And then it's like, dude, you got some Filipino in you. You got some Irish, like, and then you follow the storyline of what happened. So, like, and none of this I knew growing up. So I thought I was one way growing up. My grandma said, "No, this is what's in you. This is it." Yeah. And then you do a DNA test, and you're like,
"Somebody
Grandma,
lied
you full
here.
of shit." Grandma don't know nothing. You know,
somebody lied.
Somebody lied. Right?
There was some late night freaky deaky stuff that happened somewhere.
And then you look at your bloodline, and you're like, oh, come to find out. So my bloodline of people from Nigeria in this certain area, it was a small tribe, was taken by Irish Vikings or something like that as slaves and brought to Ireland and started their own thing. Yeah. And as slaves, you know, but the Vikings were really different in taking their slaves. Once they adopted them, they treated them like family and
Yes.
pretty much just made them part of their clan.
And as a contrary, Vikings were much better as far as cleanliness and stuff like that. And
it's-
the braids, all these
Dude.
things are here for a reason. They have a
It's-
strong culture.
It's extremely fascinating to me. So, like, I'm looking at this, right, and I'm like, this isn't so long ago, first of all. So, like, my heritage comes like yeah, I'm a Norwegian Viking. Or not a Norwegian Viking, a Nigerian Viking. And they're like, a what?
A Nigerian.
Yeah, you're a what? I'm a
man.
descendant of I'm essentially a Nigerian Viking. And they're
love
like,
it.
what the fuck is that? You
I
know
can't
what
wait.
mean? But
I'm going to tell my friends now. You say, who's Anthony Tripp? Well, he's this guy that stands outside of schools with his gun, hoping that no active shooters show up that day, and they usually don't. Surprise, surprise. And he's a Nigerian Viking.
that's why his beard's so good.
The looks that I'm going to get are going to be priceless.
It's like, he's a what?
That just changed everything.
But I'm an American.
Yes.
That right there is also what is so beautiful, because regardless of all of that stuff that's in my bloodline, I'm still just a proud American. And that's what it comes down to.
Yes,
I
brother.
can have all of that extra stuff in my bloodline. I'm just an American dude.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I'm just an American guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It makes me strong, and it's cool to find out where my culture was. But at the end of the day, I'm just an American dude.
Well, because you're currently creating culture right now, sitting here, talking to, interacting with people on TikTok. Shout out to everybody on TikTok real quick. Hold on. Thank you for being here. And on Facebook, too. Much love, y'all.
Hey, guys.
It's so essential to be open and honest. It's, we have these boundaries that separate us as human beings. But there's no need to ever tell a young boy, just because of his skin color is fucking different, that he's oppressed. If someone told me that when I was a kid, I would have probably hit my teacher in the face. I'm gonna be honest.
Let me ask you this. Since you're talking about the word oppression,
Yes, very powerful
there
word.
has been online a lot of pushback because Lizzo's fat ass is always talking about how she's oppressed, right? And instantly it pisses me off because I don't believe, one, Lizzo's oppressed at all. Let's just be real. You're fat, you're black, and you're famous. You're not oppressed. We live in one of the only countries in the world where you can be poor, broke, and still be fat. Okay? I'm just going to say it for what it is.
Hey, that's been said multiple times.
It's
not
the
just on
fucking
Joe
truth.
Rogan's podcast,
So-
but openly.
Not only is she fat, she's rich, and she's famous. How the fuck is she oppressed? She's a woman who is able to do anything that she wants in this world because she's rich and she's famous. So how is that oppressed?
Well, I would say this, man. We have what's called, I refer to it as the Cool Kid Squad, right? And we have, before it was known as, dude, the Good Old Boys crew, the Good Old Boys, Good Old Boys,
The Good Old
crew,
Boy
right?
Club.
So everybody who's in gets the sponsorships. They get the extra money. They stay in their little circle and they promote each other. You'll never see someone from Hollywood dissing from someone from Hollywood until they get caught for doing something
Something's wrong, yeah.
like with Epstein's Island.
Right. And
You'll
then
never
they start dissing people.
and then they started dissing people. When Ricky Gervais got in front of the Grammys and told them to stop raping children, there was a lot of sad, uncomfortable-looking faces in the back
because they knew.
because there's some people in their circle who are. As far as oppression goes, Lizzo is one of the most honored people. She got to play a flute that was so many years old because she is. And we can be honest. She's extremely musically talented. She has a lot of charisma. She has great character. I'm not too cool with her dissing on people who are skinny just because she's comfortable in her body and expecting people not to be upset about that. If someone called me a skinny fuck, I'd probably call them a fat fuck, right?
Right.
So
it's natural to snap back at somebody.
Yes.
Especially over something stupid like a physical look.
yes,
Right. Now, granted, I know I called Lizzo fat, but she is.
Yes.
Let's be honest. It's
But
not
she's
muscle
also-
that's around her body.
I know, but you got to remember at the same time, once you're in the Hollywood world, you have to I wouldn't say necessarily be a shill, but be similar to one. You have to get along to go along.
Yeah,
once you're in
that's
that Good Old Boys crew. So remember how they freaked out when she started doing that Peloton stuff and losing weight and dieting? They
didn't
out.
like it. They didn't like it. It didn't fit her character.
It didn't fit her narrative or her slot. And that's what I want to say about these, identifying as just a black person. Joe Biden came on the internet and said, if you don't know whether to vote for me or Trump, you ain't
You're
black.
not black.
I don't want to sit there and be put in a box because of my skin color, because someone who is racist sees me as supposed to fit a certain narrative. I don't speak at Ku Klux Klan's Grand Dragon memorials. You know what? And I'm not saying that Trump was a great guy. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that do not categorize me, my family members, or the people that I will die for and that I have put my life on the line multiple times for, just so they can have a normal society where they're not deployed. Don't categorize me because of my fucking skin color. I'm very proud to be black. There's a lot of great things that come with being black. Once you go black, you don't go back. All right? I said it is what it is. And it is what it is.
You ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying. I'm just saying. You heard it here.
There's so many great things about being a black man, especially in America. Listen, my skin color. Nobody has this skin color but me. There might be people who look similar to me, but growing up when I was a kid, they treated me like I was the only black person because I was one of the only black people at the school. Only other dude was blind. I had to win a lottery to go to the school I was going to, and growing up with my stepdad forward deployed, and my grandpa showing me the movie Roots as a child, and then next thing, showing me the movie Black Hawk Down as a child. And the next thing, he's showing me the movie Glory as a child. I'm really getting good, serious perspective and learning it from somebody who has been on an extreme side of a spectrum where they wouldn't deal with white people at all. He married a white woman. There's so much power in breaking down these things that separate us as human beings. And
those cultural barriers.
Cultural barriers. It's a great way to say it, man.
So real quick, I went to the Safeway the other day, and I ran into this older black lady, and she saw my shirt. I was wearing this shirt. It said "Make Man Men Again," and she loved it. She fell in love with the shirt, and
it's hilarious.
Well, it is, right? But it can just go so deep, right? If you really think about it. Anyways, she goes up to me and she goes, I just wish there were more men out there that would actually give a fuck. She just starts going off, right? And I started to think, well, she's from a different time. Mm-hmm. She's about the same age as my grandparents, right? So her mindset in 2022 and looking at how men are acting today, she is furious. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you look at, and she went through the civil rights era. Mm-hmm. She went through the 80s, the racism. She went through the Rodney King riots and the OJ. She's been through all of it up until George Floyd and until right now. Mm-hmm. And she has seen the worst of humanity all the way to the best of humanity in just that short time.
There's a lot that can be learned from somebody like that.
Dude, in, what is it? Almost 60 years since the civil rights. It's almost 60 years.
Yes, brother.
Right? In just 60 years, it is a completely different country than from when she was born. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we're talking our grandparents who are 80s, right? Still living in today, who saw a completely different version of life and went through it. To this day, to see men acting the way that they're acting, or boys acting the way that they're acting, they don't know what gender they are. They don't know what color hair they're supposed to have, or what's appropriate or what's not, who's oppressed and what's not.
They're told to conform.
They're told
to this and that.
They're changing definitions of things like the word oppression, which actually has a valid meaning, to utilizing it to, well, Lizzo's oppressed because she doesn't get the same sponsors as the white people.
Yes, she does.
Stop.
She's just so popular.
Stop.
Lizzo's a household name. What more do you need? Lizzo is literally a house. Lizzo, when I first heard her song.
The thing is, because you see other people getting that stuff, but you're not. But it's like, well, I'm popular. How come I'm not getting it? Just focus on
jealousy and weakness.
That's all it is.
Maybe.
It has nothing to do with oppression. It's jealousy and weakness. Nothing to do with being oppressed.
Yes.
Because if we want to talk about oppressed, let's talk about veterans.
Yes, man.
You want to talk about oppression? Let's talk about oppression.
Okay.
Let's talk about the worst of oppression right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the best of our human beings, which we already discussed and established earlier today.
Yes.
That our entire military is an all-volunteer force.
100% volunteer.
100%.
Wouldn't change it for the world because
So,
that's better.
So with that being said, since we have an all-volunteer force, which we know the ultimate sacrifice, of course, is going to be death and leaving behind your family members, your loved ones, and so on.
Yeah.
We know that. But life has to continue to go on. When you deployed or when you were downrange or when you were with your buddies on ship or whatever it was, if something happens out there, that's it.
That's it. Ain't no going back.
There's no going back. Okay. So we know that we're going to send these young, brave men and women from all different walks of life of our country. Not only our country, but other countries of people who come here to serve in our military to get their citizenship.
Yes, I served with them.
Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because they're serving. They volunteer to serve for something better.
Yes.
But when you get out of the military, all you get is a thank you for your service and call the fucking VA. Who in the hell is more oppressed than the main individuals who sacrificed everything? And now they're told, well, thank you for your service. On to the next. Call the VA. And if you've never called the VA, ladies and gentlemen,
good luck. I actually gave up on filing for disability.
And that real. Right there, Eddie, is a fucking shame.
Yeah, it's a shame.
The fact that you as a veteran, I don't care if you're a combat veteran or not. If you just did 4 years or you did 20, I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. If you volunteer to serve in the greatest military on earth.
The greatest.
In the greatest country on earth. And we can afford to send $100 billion to Ukraine. Don't tell me we can't help our veterans.
Well, they just sent another 67 or something
ridiculous amount
billion
of money.
Dollars. Do you know what it's like to come home to the military or to the country that you served and walk by a guy who you know is actually a vet and he's homeless vet and you see and like what do you do? You
start a nonprofit called All in a Day's Work, and you
probably.
do everything that you can to help out. That's what you do. That's what you do. Because here's what I learned. After I got out of the military, I struggled with my identity crisis.
Okay.
I still struggled with it up until I got to start doing this stuff.
Because you needed to help other people.
Dude, when you're living a life of service and all of a sudden it's cut off, because remember, I didn't get out because I wanted to. Mm. I was medically retired. I did not want to get out of the military. You guys forget, like... That is what I wanted to do.
Command Sergeant Major.
Yes,
trip.
that was the plan.
Yeah.
Like I was literally, as I was getting my pink slips and going through the med board process, I was still simultaneously being reviewed for my E7 board.
Yeah,
at the same time.
And you're also you're up for a couple of different boards that are very prestigious one. I'm pretty sure.
I was going to the the highest board.
Murphy board. All right,
the highest
let's just say
board.
That.
The highest board the Army has. Mm-hmm. I was going to the brigade level R.D. Murphy board, and I got my pink slip. And they still sent me to the board, even though they knew I was getting kicked out.
If you got the award, I would have been happy for you, still.
If I would have been able to... I'm going to be real with you. I would have been able to get the award had I not had the medical retirement discharge. Mm. It was already made up because of my... So here's, long story short, I had... the surgeon who did the last surgery on me go to the medical board and speak on my behalf to try to keep me in.
Okay.
They reviewed it for like, I don't even know how many hours when they were sitting in there on just my case. And the decision was, your injuries are too severe to continue service.
And that's like a stab in the heart.
Bro, there is, and you know, once that decision is made, that's it.
Yeah, they're not going back.
There is zero going back.
You can't argue with a dictatorship.
So for me, I'm freaking the fuck out now. You know what I mean? I have no idea. But that's what happened. You know what I mean? So my level of service was like what the fuck? Because all I wanted to do was be a soldier. All
Yeah.
I wanted to do was serve, deploy, make better soldiers, and make that a career. Command Sergeant Major Triplet, Command Sergeant Major of the Army Triplet was the goal.
Yeah.
That was the fucking goal. But it got cut short at 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks because you're already almost at the halfway mark, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, hey, brother, thank you for your service. Here's the VA. You start clearing in 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, a big thing that you just expressed there, medical retirement or just transitioning out of the military in general, is an extreme difficult thing. I think if I could, I'm going to try to get this all out in a way that it makes sense without, falling apart. It's hard. It's very difficult for me to talk about, honestly, and I get uncomfortable. I'm already scraping my hands, uncomfortable talking about it.
Because it's not something that most people even understand or have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 1% has ever served. So you think about that 99% disconnect, they have no idea what it's like.
Well, I'm going to do my best to shed some light out of the transition out of the military. So on my podcast, I have a series right now that I'm running called Service and Sacrifice. So you've been on it, and the whole point of it is to shed some light on what our veterans, our active duty members in the service, and their families as well go through. I've had on my wife to talk about what it's like to see me walk away and not know if I'm coming back.
And correct me if I'm, did she serve?
No,
She did not serve.
I wouldn't wish for anything different. I'm glad she didn't.
Yeah. No, that's great. I just couldn't remember like if she did serve or not.
No, I'm like, I can go to my story, but I married her when I was so excited for life, man, and I was going to deploy, and our relationship was solidified since high school. We were high school sweethearts, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to actually pursue this and make it official. When my dad died during one of my underways, she was holding his hand for 3 days while he died in the hospital to leukemia, and I asked her, like,
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I'm thankful that I had someone like her to save me, man, because doing something like that, right? How do you not marry somebody and not want to give your life back to, and
especially for someone who's been there at your darkest and
the
deepest
darkest
of
time,
yeah.
man, the darkest time, and losing somebody while you're deployed, no matter if they're your friend or your father, can really rip you up. And thankfully, she was there for me, and I'm super excited that I was able to continue our relationship after the military and just be with her. Being with her is breathing air for me.
Absolutely.
And without her, I'd probably be, definitely not here. But anyway, enough about my soap opera. I don't want to cry today.
No. Not enough about that, man. I just want to say that's fucking beautiful, because living in today's society where relationships and marriages are dwindling,
Ooh.
to hear something as beautiful as that gives me hope.
There is hope, man.
I just want to say that. I just
Hey,
want
you're
to say
tall, dark, and handsome. There's hope out there. Don't worry about it.
I just
Shit.
shit. Bro, you want some more? You want some more whiskey? We got some more whiskey.
Yeah, I'll
over
grab
there.
some more right after I finish this point. But
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
so, like, for having her was very helpful, but it created obviously some issues for me. So me transitioning out of the military, I had a lot of guilt. I didn't talk to my dad for a year before he passed. And I was out there with my brothers and the sisters and my uncles and my father figures in the military, and they surrounded me with love when I was going through the worst time of my life. They hooked me up with the satellite phones to call back home. I was just off the coast of Florida, but I was out there for a month doing training workups for these new pilots, the ones you see in Top Gun. These pilots, they train on aircraft carriers, how to land and stuff like that. And I was on the USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN-71, the same one that Top Gun was filmed on, the same one that they sunk in Transformers. Fuck whoever directed that.
It was a James Bay or Michael Bay or something
Michael
like that.
Bay. You shouldn't have done us like that, Michael. You should have picked another ship. We didn't deserve
made up ship or something, you know. But
well, if you didn't know, the 2015 Theodore Roosevelt deployment crew is famous for good and bad reasons. But as we did our deployment, coming back home to her was breathing life. I felt like I was so edgy and on edge the whole time I was deployed after my dad passed, and she was there for that whole thing. So leaving the military for me wasn't as simple as get an email saying, "Hey, honey, I got this job working at an elevator for $50 an hour. Come make $50 an hour," and they always get pay raises. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
right,
It wasn't that simple.
Yeah.
It was. I looked around at people who were there when my dad died, when who held me while I had freak out sessions afterwards, dealing with severe guilt, and knowing that she was going through being there at the hospital, holding her hand, ate me up inside, man. And then the guilt and the frustration at him for my life, it all kind of culminated. So me getting out of the military, going from being in charge of 250 people as a leading petty officer in the United States Navy, I was 3 warfare pins. I went from E1 to E5 in 2.5 years. I was a hot shot. I got award after award. I got 2 names. They thanked me for everything. They did their best to let me know that they appreciated it. The Navy was very good to me. I was coxswain qualified. Man overboard, you're in the water, I'm coming to get your ass. No matter what time of night, I'm going to be the first one to the boat. I sprinted faster than most people, and I'm getting that bitch unrigged so I can come save your ass. And I'm okay with it. And I'm calm as a whistle. I'm excited to pull you out of the water. I stopped suicides when I was deployed. I pulled people off rails.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
That right there is the exact caliber of individual I want working for me in my program, Veteran Overwatch. Mm-hmm. Because you understand it's others that matter.
Yes.
And you're going to do what you do to ensure that they get back safe. If someone goes overboard, you're certified and ready to go and get them and bring them home safe.
Yeah. Right now, I'll do it.
It does. And here's what I also want to say, that there is a misconception, even with the racism that was in the military back into the 60s. We talk about Carbashir.
Yes.
Okay? Navy diver. Black man. Every single odd stacked against him.
Watch Men of Honor and learn about Carbashir. I got to see the ship they named after him.
Really?
I was crying.
Because it happened a few years ago, right? It was like, what, 3 or 4 years ago they named the ship after him?
I think it was before then. So I saw the ship in 2014, I believe.
Was it 2014?
2014, yes, I believe so. Why? That's when I saw it. I didn't know when they put it out there.
I thought it was after that. I could have swore it was like 2018. It doesn't matter.
Semantics.
Yeah. The fact that he's got a ship named after him is, first of all,
should tell you all you need to know.
Man,
he's a complete alpha specimen.
The point I was trying to make was, because it's a true story, when the situation happened, it did not matter what color he was. It mattered that he was a United States Navy. Like that's it. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, he had to go through struggles to get to that point, but he was still in the United States military.
He had his identity.
He already was you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And this is also a misconception that people have forgotten about. Regardless of whether there was the Negro side or not, people were still getting promoted.
Yes.
They don't talk about that, but they still had black sergeant majors and stuff that were getting promoted. Mm-hmm. Or whatever the equivalent to sergeant major is in the Navy. But you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
It was still happening. It was just segregated. Mm-hmm. What I learned with his story,
he broke boundaries.
When he got injured, it was obviously before that when he was going in to help out, but it was when he got injured. The people that were on both sides of the spectrum trying to stop him, and then there was the other side of people that were trying to help him.
There's always someone out there trying to cut your wings, man.
The person that was trying to help him was the same person that was trying to cut him down. That's the point I was making. Mm-hmm. The same person that was trying to break him down in the beginning was also the same person trying to help him in the end.
Because he was inspired.
Because he was inspired, and it did not matter. So he was able to break that boundary. And we're talking 2 individuals, right? 2 individuals able to make that much of a difference based on 1 injury. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yes. Well, one person throws their hands in the fire so others doesn't get burnt. It spreads.
It does.
It's easy to get inspired. We watch The Lion King. We learn about how to deal with dead fathers. I can watch Act of Valor, and I get emotional thinking about these people jumping on a grenade for their brother. You know, we can look at Chicks Dig Cigar on Instagram. Ask him about his Medal of Honor story.
That's second nature. For situations like that, you individually go away. You do.
It's something that is instinctual. It's not something that you can't flip the switch. It just it's who you
Thank
are.
you.
It's who you are.
And I think that right there is why having an all-volunteer force is
Essential.
necessary, because you're not going to get that same caliber of individual if they're forced directly out of high school to do this job that they didn't want anything to do with.
Yes, brother.
That's what I mean when I say we have the greatest military on earth.
We do.
It's because every single person volunteered to go through the bullshit, because it comes with bullshit. It comes with a lot of bullshit.
Absolutely.
But every single person, to include the officers who fuck up everything, but to include the officers, they volunteered. But a good officer will always listen to their enlisted senior advisors and enlisted advisors.
Leadership
100%.
101. Shut up and listen.
Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
And people don't realize that every single military operation is almost keep it simple, stupid. Like, they see, oh no, they had to strategically move. I'm going to tell you right now, here's what happens in the battle command inside the big rooms. It's, okay, bro, how many soldiers do you have can get over here and handle this?
Yeah.
And can you make it happen now, Colonel?
And then they fall on their level of training, which is essential, man.
That's what really happens. People don't realize that. People see the big blue room, right? With all the monitors, and there's a SIG axe here. We have all that. But I'm going to tell you right now, that shit ain't what's getting done when we're going down to the ground level, and what's really happening. It's how many guys do you have to accomplish X amount of things? And can you get it done? And can these men or women, or both, accomplish this task?
And a lot of times it comes down to overcompensation. People will say, yeah, we can get it done, when your whole crew is going through severe trauma after just watching their friends get blown up. Like, I have a lot of friends that come on my show and talk about that.
Dude, I'm very glad you brought that up. How much recovery time or mental health aspect of recovery was done for any of you guys while you were deployed? Thank you.
0.
Unless you forced yourself to seek it out yourself, right?
Yes, and then you get kicked out of the Navy for being mentally unstable.
And every once in a while, they would have the chaplain come by and say some words to inspire you and then get you back in the fight. Is that true?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I just want to make sure that your experience was similar to mine.
It's called a temperature check. And the temperature checks, if you got a fever, you're out. I've watched people who have great careers say that they're feeling a little upset or alone or downcasted because their wife left them and cleared them out their house, or their husband, or because they were sexually assaulted and they were scared to report it. Like, people, there's so many things that happen.
So that's another good point. A good friend of mine on my second deployment brought up one of the best points to me while we were deployed. Because my second tour was completely different than my first tour. My second tour was a fucking walk in the park. It was like a vacation. Almost. My first tour, not so much. It was fucking hell.
Oh, yeah. You told me about it, man.
And we're talking about a 5-year difference. From 2010... No, excuse me, a 4-year difference. From 2010 to 2014. 4-year difference. 2 deployments. No, excuse me, 3-year difference, because I came back in 2011.
Yeah, because you were deployed for a while, man.
Yeah, I deployed from 2010 to 2011, a 1-year, 12-month deployment, and then another 9-month deployment.
Okay.
The difference, and I went to the same spot. The same spot. The difference in what happened in that short amount of time. It was mind-blowing. And some of us were the same people who deployed on the first time.
Were you at Fob Warrior too? Again?
I did go there again.
Oh,
but they
my
renamed
God.
it. But they renamed it Apache after we left in 2011. It was renamed Apache, so a lot of people know Fob Apache from Fob Warrior because it spread out and they put the Apaches there and they pretty much cleared out that entire backside of the mountain. Didn't really work much, but
Mountains and Taliban are hand in hand.
bro, they pop out those motherfuckers like berries and just start blowing shit up, and then they disappear because you can't see them. You can't see them.
I know.
You can't just shoot up into the mountains. I mean, you can try, but it doesn't work.
It's almost guerrilla warfare, but with mountains.
Dude. And I'm sorry, because it's a huge disconnect for a lot of people who have never been in that situation, right? So just imagine coming off of a convoy for 4 days, and throughout that 4 days, you're building, repairing, blowing up, and doing route clearance in 4 days. 24 hours straight, you're not sleeping. You're working 4 days straight, drinking Ribbits, Red Bulls, and fucking peanuts and shit and sunflower seeds to keep you going.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So you're already like a fucking zombie. And now you pull into the fob, and your first hot meal in 4 days, you sit down and all of a sudden you get blown up.
Yeah, it's not fun.
What the fuck are you supposed to do when you get out of the military with that experience?
And
That's what I want to talk about, because that's exactly what happens. And we have so many individuals out there who have experienced these type of things, and now they're told, well, thank you for your service, call the VA.
Yeah, well, that's something that I'm directly dealing with, and not just in a a personal capacity of me having some transitional issues. One big thing that I see from the Navy, especially, is losing your brothers and sisters, your uncles, your father figures that stepped in when you didn't know you needed them.
The father figure that stepped in when you didn't. The way that you just said that hits the nail on the head perfect. And I say that because there are so many individuals like myself who grew up without a father and still joined the military. And I made this point the other day because I talked to my recruiter live on TikTok. We had a little podcast. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was amazing, dude. But a lot of us who grew up without a father long for that father figure.
Yes,
and
brother.
we search and we look in any way possible for that man to show me how to be a fucking man, because it's instilled in us at a young level, right? My dad died when I was 5.
Yeah. Horrible car accident, man. I'm sorry.
And thank you, but it's what happened. I can't take it. I can't change it back. It's what happened. My mother never remarried, so any positive male role model that was in my life or on TV, I took a hold of, to include The Rock, WWF wrestling. I'm, 10 years old, practicing fucking the rock bottom in the living room with my sister and shit. You know what I mean? Like because the only positive male role model I had, other than my grandfather, was on TV.
He was in the Navy. I know.
My grandfather was also drafted in the Army first. Just want to point that out.
Okay, all right.
I just have to point that out. He did retire from the Navy, but he started off in the Army.
It is what it is. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it.
I'm not either. It's just, fuck. What was the point I was just making?
So we were talking about the transition and the father figures and
father figure. Okay, so when you have that drill sergeant, that team leader, that crew chief, that platoon sergeant, that section leader, whatever you guys call it in the Navy, when you have that positive male role model in your life, you pick up on every little detail that you want to
emulate.
There you go, to emulate, to make you that man that you want to be.
Yes.
Right? So, for instance, like my recruiter, he used to dip. I don't dip, right? But still a part of me, it's like in the back of my brain. It's like whiskey, tobacco, firearms, steak. That's man shit. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? I can't get rid of it.
It never leaves you.
Get rid of it. It doesn't leave me. And it's like, I didn't grow up with a dad. I never saw my dad smoking, eating steak or nothing like that. But my recruiter did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And the first positive role model I had in my life, other than my grandfather, was my recruiter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm watching him dip, or, you drink whiskey, or you smoke. It's little shit like that. Just the man shit. I'm like, okay, well, this is what a man is. And then I joined the military, and every guy is either smoking or dipping. Smoking or dipping.
You got one option.
You know what I mean? It's tobacco.
Yeah.
It's tobacco. And so I start seeing that. What do? I start using tobacco. It's just what it is.
It's just what it. It's a embedded culture. And so when we leave, we lose that sense of camaraderie. We lose that sense of brotherhood. It's like losing a father. It's like you lose a lot of shit as soon as you go. As soon as you get out of the military, like everything changes in your life, man. So a big difficulty for me was losing my people who were there for me when my dad died, especially. That was really hard for me to do.
How old were you again?
When he passed, I try. Sorry, I try to forget numbers, so I'm going to try to nail this.
No
he
worries.
died in 2013.
Okay. Sorry for your loss, man.
It's okay. Like you said earlier, it's a part of life, right? And now I look at it, it's just another reason to be more appreciative for, and encourage my friends to be more appreciative for the relationships they have, whether it's their father or not. So me and my stepdad, we become super close over the years. After I went through my transition out of the military was kind of hard for me. So when leaving the military, a big issue we have is separation anxiety. And then another one is the loss of camaraderie. So you feel like you're going through a level of grief that a lot of people never feel, never understand. It's grief. You're never going to see these people again in your life.
I never thought of it that way, as grief.
Well, every single one of them you might see them on Facebook, but I see pictures of dead people in my family on Facebook, and I feel the exact same dark gray feeling. Like, I'll never see this person again.
And you can't talk to them.
No.
Even if it's on Facebook, it's like, hey, this memory popped up of you and Joe Schmo. Mm-hmm. Guess what? You can't talk to them. I lost my brother a couple years ago.
I'm sorry that.
He wasn't my blood brother. Mm. He became my brother in basic training. This man, his name was Delvon Ward, my big brother. I was 19 years old. He was 27. Okay? He went to basic training with me, deployed with me, came back with me. He went to Fort Benning. I went to Fort Lewis. He died in 2020. Unexpectedly in his sleep. Now, I bring this up because not only was he like my big brother, but he was also that positive male influence that I needed growing up. Okay? Mm-hmm. He had already experienced some of adulthood in life prior to joining the military. I joined directly at 18. I had no adulthood. I had no identity. I'm fresh out of school, just got arrested, and I'm in the military.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I grew up with my mother, my sister, my auntie, my grandma, and my grandpa. That's it. That's it. There's no... And then my Uncle Leo came in later on. But there's no positive male role model up until I really joined the military, other than my grandfather. Mm. And my grandfather's an old school dude. He was born in 1942. He's old school. His mentality of things is you do right, you do this, you work hard, and that is it.
Yeah.
Right? Be a fucking man.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Suck it up, be a fucking man, drive the fuck on, and leave me alone. Mm-hmm. That's my... So you can imagine, other than like going fishing, you can imagine discipline and strict was pretty... It was pretty common.
Yeah, you get beat.
So going into the military, you find, well, I don't know anything other than what my grandpa has told me. That's all I know. That's all I know about being a man is what my grandfather has shown me. Mm-hmm. And what I've seen in TV. Okay. Right? Because social media was nowhere near what it was when I
No, now it's great. Now we can, share our stories and our experiences, man.
The fact that we can do this live, the fact that we can record it and put it out for people to see later, whether it's 2 people or 2 million, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The fact that somebody can see and hear a little bit of what we're saying right now for free.
Yeah.
For free.
And we're just interconnecting.
This is beyond connection, I believe. I think this goes deeper than connection, because essentially we all have these devil boxes, right?
Oh yeah.
And we are all connected through the internet. No matter what way we want to look at it, this app or that, we're connected. We're more connected now than we've ever been before, which is causing a lot of people to have distrust and issues and things like that, if they choose to use it that way. Mm-hmm. I choose to utilize social media like you do for positivity, influence, and doing better. And of course, humor. Humor is a huge part of social media that has to be brought back. Mm-hmm. Because if we lose humor, we lose our value of society, because we have to be able to laugh at the hard times too.
100%.
If we can't laugh at some of the hard times, then we're going to be fucking miserable at everything we do.
Cry.
I'm going to tell you right now, life is not all miserable. If you sit back and look at exactly your piece, where you are as an individual right now, not all the other bullshit that's going on. I'm talking about you as an individual right now. Your bills are paid. You have your own place, your car, whatever the case is. The small shit that really matters to survive.
Life is good, baby.
Life is beautiful.
Yeah, man.
It's fucking beautiful, but we hunt. We're people. We're never satisfied. That's the problem with us as a human race. We're never satisfied. We always want more. We want the next best phone. We want the next best TV, the next best car.
Chasing the dopamine release. And a lot of times that leads, especially for vets, into drugs.
Dude, I want the likes. I want the hearts. I want the views. I want the shares. I want the... Look.
You'll do a lot of things for attention.
At the end of the day, the people that are close to you in your inner circle, in your real life, is what really matters.
Yes, brother.
This right here, talking to you as an individual, in real time, face to face, is what matters.
Yeah, man.
The people viewing, they matter too. I'm not going to dismiss anybody viewing or anything like that. They matter too, because listening and connecting with them in real time to hear the story is just as important. But the point I was trying to make is that inner circle, that connection that you have with the people that matter, is how we make a difference and influence others to be better.
100%, man.
We're talking about the military, where we volunteer because we want to be better. Whatever the case is, you join the military because you want free college. You want that college because you want to be better. You join the military because you want to serve. You want to serve your country because you want the country to be better. At the end of the day, none of us are doing this to try to stay stagnant. We're all trying to be better than where we left off. The problem with trying to be better is there comes jealousy, envy, greed. We can go down the 7 deadly sins. That's what comes with these things as well, as human race.
Yeah.
Because once we have it, we're never satisfied. It's like, okay, I worked so hard. I finally got it. What's next? What's next now? Okay, what's the next? Wait a minute. And I'm guilty of this myself. I'm a huge proponent of this myself. Okay, you work so hard. You accomplish that. What's the next task? What's the next thing you're going to do? Yeah. What's the next big project you're going to do to try to impact somebody?
I think that directly relates to your military service, as it does for many of us. So we get out of the military and we're looking for that next thing, that next task, the next mission. And a big thing for me and other vets, from my experience, has been, like, I already talked about losing friends. I already talked about the grief that comes with losing people that your family now. Like, whether or not you agreed it or agree with it, you just went down range and did what you had to do for whatever cause. And it's usually the people to your left and right of you.
The greater good.
The greater good, right? So coming back from the military, we're dealing with a lot of things. A lot of us are injured. A lot of us have scars that aren't shown. And the biggest issue that I'm seeing overwhelmingly with the veteran suicide issue that's facing America is the lack of camaraderie, man. It's great to sit here. It's great to come down here. You know, it's an hour and a half drive down here just to hang out with you. And it's a pleasure to do it because I'm interacting with somebody who has similarities to me, even though we didn't know who each other were until, not far recent ago. Or not far beyond recently. So
that's also beautiful.
Yeah.
Because up until, a few months ago, we didn't know that we even existed in each other's lives. And here we are in the same state trying to accomplish similar goals. Right?
Yeah, brother.
So before meeting each other, it's like our goals were individual. Right? But then it's like, wait a minute. You're a brother. I'm a brother. We both have these things. Why not utilize each other's strengths and do better?
Yeah, we have to work together as a team. In the military, a lot of times our missions intersect.
Let me ask you this. When you were in the military, were you ever assigned a mission or a task that you had to accomplish by yourself?
Fuck yeah.
How rare was it to accomplish individual self missions as opposed to a team mission?
Pretty rare, because you never win a firefight alone. You never win. You never do something successfully alone. You never defend a ship. You never properly set an ambush alone. It's not always very beneficial to try to ambush people all alone. Like, it's not Rambo.
It's not. That's only done in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest misconception with military service and reality.
And when you get out, you're solo, man. You're solo. But you don't have to be. And that's the biggest thing.
Well,
you don't have to be alone.
Here's the thing, though. When you go through your transitioning classes and shit that the military puts you through, they don't tell you about these individual groups like what we have right here.
Mm-hmm.
These groups, off the deep end, all in a day's work. These two groups right here, local groups, podcasts, organizations, whatever you want to call it, are here and available. But they don't talk about it.
No.
We don't get the mainstream attention, not because it's not cool enough or trendy enough. It's because it solves a problem that they don't want to solve. That's what I believe. I believe that if we solve the problem, they don't have anything to talk about because they want the chaos. They want that chaos to talk about, to make trendy news.
Mm-hmm.
When we offer a solution to the problem that will fix it, they don't really want to hear it because it's like, okay, well, if that fixes it, what do we talk about now?
Well, absolutely. A negative message always travels faster than a positive message. And the news makes money off making shit. Like back when I was growing up, breaking news, 9/11 was breaking news. Today, Trump might be reinstated on Twitter. Breaking news.
God,
a negative message will always travel faster than a positive message, but it's the negative on their terms. What negative to me is finding out just last week that 2 more of my friends committed suicide that I deployed with.
Thank you.
That's negative.
Thank you.
What's negative is waking up and not having breath in my lungs to be thankful for. That's negative.
Give me 1 second real quick.
Yeah. What's negative for me is... Oh, here, slide by. Hello, welcome. I'm taking over. I'm super excited to be here. Just want to talk about what's negative out there. Doesn't necessarily have to be negative for you as well. So let me slide a little bit closer. I'm going to switch mics even. What's up, everybody on TikTok? How y'all doing? I'm taking over the show. Hello. Who we got here? Who we got live? Through my VSO. I learned through my VSO. Hello. Brendan. Hey, Becca. Brendan, how you doing? Hello. Everybody on TikTok, what's up? So, a big issue that we as veterans deal with is not being interconnected as far as human beings. We can break down these generational things that divide us, whether it's generational hatred. You know, some people are raised to hate people because of their different skin color. A lot of people are raised to hate people with a certain political demographic, or even a lot of people are told that you shouldn't do a job like be a law enforcement. So I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are feeling like you're alone or that you're not worth it or anything like that, please don't feel alone. You are worth it. You do have an opportunity to do great things. Yeah, brother, it is very sad. And there's never a reason why we should feel like less than, right? Especially as in the veteran community, it's a big issue that we're not, we're not able to work past these issues. So one of my favorite things to do is find people in my area that are local, that are vets, that are feeling down, they're feeling alone, they're feeling sad, and help them combat their issues by working together. So, oh shit, he's back. All right, hold on.
Sorry about that, you guys. I had to piss. had to drain the anaconda.
Oh yeah. What I was saying is, all right, I'm back. So what I was saying is that something that I like to do, I really like to focus on, is keeping us together, right? Our vets. We don't have to feel alone when we come back. We don't have to feel the loss of camaraderie. We don't have to feel like we don't have a new mission, or that we're useless, or that we're broken, or that, as far as, some piece of shit sheriffs will say, we're broken, PTSD-ridden vets who can't be trusted around kids.
And we're not professional.
You know what? I've done a whole lot of professional shit in my career and afterwards, and a lot of it was volunteer shit. I've been doing volunteering since I was a kid, whether I was doing camp food drives or chopping up Christmas trees to put bark on parks for different veteran and Boy Scout related collaboration projects or anything. And I've always pulled over to the side of the road to help people change their tire and stuff like that. I think I'm a good candidate for doing positive things. And I would apply for the police if it wasn't for some of the poor leadership that they've had in the past. Where,
not only the poor leadership, but the political aspect of just being, especially today, being a police officer today is like you're almost signing a contract for your new life. Not just because of the brotherhood, but because of if you make one mistake, and I mean one mistake, that's all they're going to see.
Oh, yes.
That's it. They don't care about the 99 other positive, great things that you did. One mistake, that's it. You're scrutinized forever. Not only are you scrutinized as an individual, but the department is scrutinized. And then the department getting scrutinizes all of law enforcement.
100%, man.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes one officer to make a bad decision. And then you saw what happened a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because we're taking individuals who make individual mistakes and we're punishing the rest of the people who didn't have anything to do with it.
Which is really unhealthy. It's a bad practice in leadership. It's a bad practice in society. It's a bad practice in every single aspect. There's never a good time to blame somebody if I was
punishment.
For instance, if there's an active shooter and they use an AR-15, and then you tell me that we should ban AR-15s, my argument wouldn't necessarily be an argument. Even it would just be providing logic. Why would I be at fault for what a human being who wants to harm others wants to do? And wouldn't you want somebody, another trained possible responder for that with a firearm as well? So me being okay with doing violence to those who need violence done upon them, it separates me from the people who are okay being protected by other people. The government has never been great about safety, and as a black man, I'm saying that honestly. The government.
That was very true.
And it's not just everybody. It's not just everybody being racist. It's not just as much as the news would say it. It's not everybody being racist that's the issue. It's one or two people in a position of power who uses their ego to try to oppress other people, and that's where oppression shows up. It's not in a system. I have so many black friends that make millions of dollars a year just because they work their fucking ass off, and that's great.
It's not that the system is designed to put you as oppressed. It's not. I wouldn't say just the system. It's individual actions and things that you do that'll put you in a position that makes you feel less than, not oppressed, but less than where you should be or where you want to be.
And that's what I tell my vet friends when they're going through times feeling alone when they come back. I am working with a current organization right now called Merging Vets and Players. And what they do is they take professional athletes who get injured and stuff like that, and they're kicked out of the NFL, and now they've lost their identity. They don't know who they are. You know what that really sounds similar to? Every single vet that gets out that is struggling with the transition, or that's not, because it might show up. Trauma shows up 7 to 15 years after the original events a lot of times if it's not dealt with, and it's not always worked. If your mind's not worked to deal with mental hardship. So one of the things that we're doing is creating groups where we all come together and we go to events. We help other vets out. We have resources with intensive PTSD programs that a lot of vets need when they come back from combat, man. And helping feed their service dogs is something that I'm personally doing. I started my own fundraiser called Squats for Vets. It's something I'm running through my Off the Deep End channel. And $1 squat. Between now and the 24th, I've already almost reached my goal. I've had Microsoft reach out to me and say they're going to match whatever I raise for the organization.
And that's awesome.
And it's going to put food in these people who are disabled vets with their service animal. They have to buy dog food for it. They have to buy new parts for their stuff when the VA won't cover it. Some people are struggling. Some people struggling with just being normal. afterwards.
Just trying to get freaking regular groceries right now is a struggle.
Very difficult. And that's why I'm raising funds directly for this group of people who have been blown up overseas. People who have gave up so much more than I have. And I'm so appreciative for them, for our country, so that we can sit here in this nice studio and have a simple conversation. And to be able to connect with people on TikTok and Facebook and show them what other vets are going through. So I'm doing that on my channel right now. If people want to find me on Facebook at Eddie Lowery, Off the Deep End Podcast, or whatever, and reach out and talk to me, please. I'd love to just talk to anybody. I love having conversations with people, and I love for them to listen to your episode of my podcast, because it really shows a side of you that anyone can listen to anytime and really get to know what it's like for you growing up. One of my favorite things about listening back to it, even this morning, was seeing a different side of you that the rest of the world doesn't see, because the rest of the world watches the news and they see the slander and ridicule from people who sit in offices, in media rooms, and have never even picked up a firearm, never put the American flag on their shoulder. They've never gotten blown up. They've never gone to a place where it's 130 degrees 24/7. They've never gone a day without peeing at all because you're sweating out every liquid in your body that you put into it. They've never been shot at. They've never been seen their friends die in front of them. They've never gone through things. Tell you that you're not fit to protect other people when you have protected all of us.
Thank you.
With your military service. And that's a big problem for me. So I spotlight it on my show when I talk about your story, and I tell a lot of people about it as much as I can, because your journey is unique. You came back and you decided not to just serve overseas and protect us here. You decided that you were going to continue your service in your local community, and not just with your own daughters, but with your family, with people in your community, your neighbors. You're actively doing something that directly reflects that. And you know what? If the sheriff and the people who have taxpayer dollars can't figure out how the fuck to put an armed guard in front of a school, you know, I don't know what they're even here for. Why do you have? That sounds like a vote of no confidence to me, because
it's not necessarily that they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. It's they're choosing.
They're actively making a decision.
Yeah,
100%.
They're choosing because, and I can tell you why. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't their idea.
Yes.
Because they didn't think of it first.
I know.
And because I'm getting the kind of attention that I'm getting without going through them first, they get jealous, they get upset, and they get, of course, what's the word I'm looking for? They feel like...
Less than.
No, they feel like I didn't go the proper route.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do it the way it should have been done.
Well, you know, ego is the downfall of all great men. And if you're egotistical to the point where you say, well, I'm in a position of leadership, so you have to run this through me first. I have to give you the okay. You know what? That's something called SDS. It's called small dick syndrome. It's when you project your negativity.
Hell yeah. It's
and you project your negativity, and you want to break down others just to feel better about yourself. Or you want to be able to validate. You don't need validation. Last time I checked, your DD-214 validated the fact that you're a United States service member and now a veteran.
Thank you.
You don't need it. And if you're willing to step up while he sits in office and lets our kids get shot up, you know, then it sucks to be him. But you know what? He got dethroned this year, didn't he?
He sure did. And it's not only that. I think what he thought he was doing at this time. This was the sheriff that's leaving, by the way, to everybody.
Bye-bye.
This individual was the same person who was thanking me and telling me to continue doing what I'm doing because he appreciates it, prior to him finding out I was working with Derek.
Yeah, and that's really frustrating. The political game and nonsense, it stops right at the door when we touch our household, like the idea in this household of protecting our kids. I can tell you what it's like to know active shooters. I can tell you what it's like to lose family members and friends to active shooters and to be devastated. There was a portion of my life, thankfully I'm seeking help for it, but I didn't know that my sister was alive because the active shooter happened right when I was pulling out on one of my underways, and I had no internet access. We were doing some weird drills or whatever. I didn't know my sister was alive, so when I pulled back up on land, I was terrified to call home. and I didn't realize that it was a significant event for me, traumatically. I think that's the right word, but I would say emotionally, to see Uvalde happen, because I know what it's like to lose people I care about and know due to active shooters, and to watch people do nothing about it for this long is really bothering me. There's the Guardian program in Florida. I have friends that I served with who are directly connected to that program. There's and to walk into schools and there be no guards. And I'm not talking about the high schools. I'm not talking about someone to say, stop fighting, kids.
No, we're talking regular elementary, middle schools, where you can just walk in and get to the classroom if you wanted to.
I'm not for it. I'm
not for it either. The fact that it's 2022 and our senators, their kids have guards at their schools. The governor, he has an armed detail.
Yes.
State Patrol is his detail.
What about the kids?
Where's the protection for our kids? But even implementing, not even our program, but just SROs, actual commissioned law enforcement officers, SROs, they want to have pushback because, well, we don't want guns around the school. Why would you not want the most
trained? Do you want
trained,
better victims?
Why would you not want the most trained individuals who are willing to sacrifice everything to protect these kids, guarding our kids? Why wouldn't you not want that?
Well,
when we would send these same individuals to go protect us elsewhere, if there's an event, a big concert or whatnot, they're going to have guards. Seahawks games, they're going to have guards. They're going to have law enforcement.
Yes.
They're going to have active law enforcement there to help
100%.
with the security. With security. But when you think about our kids, every single day, thousands of kids, and you don't even want protection for... No, that does not sit right with me, and it doesn't sit right with the parents who are realizing that they don't care. Meanwhile, they're okay with implementing individuals who say, fuck the police, burn it all down, we don't need them.
To the school boards.
To the school board.
Yes.
Excuse me, stop. Stop a minute. Because now we're living in this ideological driven bullcrap. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you are going to, as the school board member, try to convince me as a parent that we don't need extra security in our school.
There was almost an active shooter in Thurston-Couston.
Hold on. Meanwhile, you are also advocating for burn the city down until we get what we want. I don't want you on the school board. I don't want you near or around any of my kids if that is the mentality that you have. But then they didn't elect her. She wasn't voted in. She was appointed to the school board for ideological reasons. Olympia School District, they just appointed Talana Reed as the school board member. And this individual not only has a very extensive criminal record and background, also, just last year, was advocating on the streets and on the steps of the Capitol. I have the video. She was advocating for burn the city down, fuck the police, and we were going to continue burning it down until they give us what we want. This is her actively, and they just appointed her as the Olympia School District board member.
Well, that's really confusing.
Over individuals who were qualified and wanted to do the right thing to help the kids in our schools. So they appointed her. I have the video, and I'm going to be doing a whole sketch on this to show, because it is sickening. And this is happening right next door.
Oh, my God.
Right next door. Right here in Olympia. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that your priorities are to ideologically hire or appoint somebody to make X amount of dollars on the school board when you can't even put $1 extra into our school security?
I'm not for it.
That's a problem for me.
It is
and
100%
I will continue to make noise, raise hell, talk to the school boards, and do whatever I have to do until positive change is made. I do not care, because at the end of the day, our kids matter. My kids go to school just like these kids go to school. Your parents, your kids go to school. The educators go to school. I will not stop until I know our kids are safe.
100%.
And if I do it in my community, I know it can be done in other communities.
Yeah.
I know it can. And I won't stop until it's done. If I have
man.
to go school to school and motivate other county sheriffs to do the same thing, then that's what the fuck I'm going to do.
Yes, brother.
Because there is no reason that our kids should not have protection.
And for our
And
listeners
mentors.
too.
And mentors.
Yeah, tell us in the comments, please. Please drop a comment and tell us what are you facing similar situations in your communities. For me and my community, that shit don't happen, man. And it's not because that we don't want different of opinion or whatever. It's because it's horribly irresponsible to neglect the children. If you go to my wife's little brother's school right now, and you magically get past the first door, which is very locked. It's locked. You have to press a button to let you in to the first door, and then you're in a kill box. And for those who don't understand what a kill box is, it's a room where you're locked from the front and the back, unless you open it with the press of a button. Excuse me.
Or like an AMS reader or something like that.
Yes, you have to be let into the school. You don't just get into the school. That is the start. One little button of school security. That's one start of it. There's so many different ways we can protect our children. I think that having a school resource officer is great. I don't necessarily personally want children getting arrested for a fist fight because they're testosterone driven, fighting over who kissed who last week. You know,
And that's one of the.
You know what? I don't necessarily think that's a criminal charge. You know, these are just kids. They're acting reckless, man. You see the kids acting up.
That's one of the things I think that we can step in as a mentorship program with the schools. Okay.
Yes.
Look, let's not arrest these kids.
Yes.
Let's mentor them.
Mentor them.
Let's give them the tools necessary so that way they don't do this same mistake again. Let's do that instead of punishing every. So I get it. If a kid stabs another kid at school,
That's a criminal act.
obviously that's different.
Yes.
But if two kids are just talking shit and they push each other and shove each other, that's just normal people being people.
Yes.
Testosterone building up, puberty, whatever. We don't need to arrest them and we don't need to place criminal charges on them, but we can mentor them and do better.
Yes, we can do better.
Why can't veterans who have already had that experience, the mentorship, the drive, do that? They're already hiring veterans in Florida as teachers to help do this stuff.
Yeah.
We can do the same thing. Let the educators educate. Let security do security, right? But your security also has a mentorship program embedded with it. What better world do you get?
There's no better one
You
than
get
that,
real
man.
life experience, real life solutions to real life problems.
100%.
It just makes sense.
It does make sense, but a lot of things that make sense are usually supported. So as far as school security goes, it's really easy. It's a really easy solution. You simply do not do nothing. That's all you have to do to make schools safer. Sitting there and saying that, okay, well, let's pull the guns back.
Present.
Yeah, sitting there and saying, all right, removing AR-15s. So let's say we remove this object. There's literally TV shows, like culture-embedded TV shows, describing how guns, drugs, human beings, which is a horrible act, are smuggled in our country. We have Law and Order SVU and organized crime where they have illegal guns. We have, oh my God, what's that one? I think it was Sons of Anarchy or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they were bringing in illegal drugs. There's shows, there's culture promoting breaking the law. You think a piece of paper is going to stop a criminal?
Dude,
Crime and all. Criminal.
Let me tell you this. Did you see that? Was it Beto O'Rourke or whatever? He was saying that our law-abiding citizens will follow the law. Criminals do not follow the law. I don't care if you have the most strictest laws known to man. Criminals do not follow the law. And when criminals do not follow the law, you're going to call on men and women who do follow the law that have those same training and skills and tools to accomplish the mission.
Well, that's when they say, hold up, there's something bad going on. Someone's breaking in my house. I heard a noise at night. There's a shooter down the street. I heard gunshots. I'm going to call 911. Now the police are important? Now they're important? You already
Before it was
defunded
defund
them.
the police.
We already defunded them, and we already pulled the school resource officers back into the field because we needed them.
Now-
We're already there. We're already at soft targets for our schools.
That's
It's a big
exactly
issue.
where we are right now.
We are there.
Not only that, they can't chase. Not in our state. They're not allowed to chase. They're not allowed reasonable suspicion anymore. They have to have at least probable cause before they can even investigate. That's a problem.
Yes.
And you see what happened in Tacoma and what happened in Seattle just recently. And they're sitting there. The police are sitting there publicly saying this is a direct result of the new law, a House Bill, was it 1554 that they passed?
Whatever it is garbage.
Yeah, that bullshit that they passed, that they can no longer do that. And it's a direct result of this influx of crime.
I agree.
A direct result. And instead of them saying, hey, we have a solution with veterans and SROs that we can stop this right now. There's money. We can do this now. I'm sick and tired of them telling me. I have yet to get a sponsor or a grant. Yet. For what I do. I have not got one sponsor or not one grant.
So the politics, they're afraid to back you.
It's ridiculous. Because I can tell you, I can guarantee, if you gave me the money to hire veterans to do this job, you would not have this problem.
I come down once a week.
Not only are we... See, this is the problem where I think people don't understand in this program. Not only are we hand-selecting the individuals, they will go through background checks. They will go through a psychological eval.
100%.
And they will do firearms training. They will do school resource officer training. They will get their deputized commission. There is no reason that this plan will not work. If we are willing to have an SRO program, which we have in my county, if we're willing to have that, but we don't have enough SROs for our schools, then we need to do something to fill the gap. Because if there's, and I can tell you right now, Deputy Rose, for instance, who is off on medical leave right now, he tore his Achilles tendon. That takes a long time to recover. He personally is responsible for 8 schools. 8. That is one school resource officer for 8 schools.
How do you respond to 8 schools as just one individual when the act's already happening? Gunfights are in seconds and milliseconds.
Let me tell you right now, that is the exact same question I brought up to Troy Oliver last week when I met with the school board. I met with him and I asked him, I said, you have one school resource officer for 8 schools. If that one resource officer is investigating or dealing with a situation at a school, for instance, one kid stabs another school, that's where he is.
And do we really want our teachers as our first line of defense versus somebody with a gun who has violent intent?
So now we have to wait. And of course, we're going to have every agency that's in the area responding to that one school that has the incident, right? So of course, maybe it takes 5, 7, 10 minutes before officers arrive. Let's just say 5 minutes. Let's say it takes 5 minutes before other officers arrive, right? That's just before they get there and try to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, 5 minutes and shots going off in school, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
But if I had individuals that are already in the school ready to do the job that's necessary, the problem goes away. The problem is solved. And this is what we're talking about. In today's age, in today's world, where we have the ability and the money to provide adequate security for every single school in our country. We do. We do. We have the money. Because if we didn't have the money, we wouldn't send close to $100 billion to Ukraine. Do not tell me we don't have the money. We have the money to staff adequate training, qualified security in every single school in America. Okay. We can do that. And I can tell you right now, I would much rather my tax dollars go to school security than funding Ukraine.
Yes.
Not to say that Ukraine does not need our help, but it doesn't need as much as we're giving and not giving to our own individual people.
If you don't put your mask on first,
that is the problem that I have.
It's like in an airplane. Put your mask on first. But we're not talking about adults. We're talking about children. Children. Innocent angels. You know, Ace Hood, one of my favorite lines of his is, what type of a fool would walk into school and off them angels? And the answer is simple. The ones that are doing it. The ones that are doing it. Last time you came on my podcast, I read you the detailed Facebook posts from the active shooter in Parkland before he went and did it.
Yeah.
There's a big issue we're having right now in our country about kids, and it can be solved very easily. And I really think that All in a Day's work is a program that will work, man. I think that protecting schools and protecting children is essential. It's not just needed, it's essential. And as a future parent, it's going to be a major driving factor for me, whether I put my kids in public school or not, is safety. There's no reason why I shouldn't know that when you send your kids to school, they should come back without bullet holes. Pretty simple. You pay money with your tax dollars for the kids to go. They're not just hired babysitters at that school.
Thank you.
These are teachers. The teachers should feel safe. I have friends, family that are teachers. They should feel safe. The kids should never. There's no reason my little brother should go to school with tourniquets in his backpack. And we should practice playing dead. That's as real as it gets, man. There's no reason why we should have to talk about different situations that might happen because somebody can walk into school with ill intent. We talk about criminals being the word crime and all. They'll do whatever they want. You're not going to stop them, especially somebody that's on drugs at the same time as they're carrying a firearm and with ill intent as well. So it's a big issue, man. It's a big issue we're facing, and the answer is simple to me. Do something. Telling me that I can't have my guns is not necessarily going to help. That might hinder the situation, especially if I'm in an area and I hear a gunshot, I move towards the problem. So there's no reason why we can't have our veterans doing great things, man, at all. There's none. And it's something that's I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about protecting kids for obvious reasons because the children are the future. And everyone I know who has kids or who wants to have kids deserves to know that their kids are safe. Point blank, period.
I'm going to pull something up for you.
Okay.
Real quick. And it's a little disturbing. All right. It's real world. This is what happened in Cleveland. I think I sent you this earlier today.
Yes.
And I'm going to play this soundbite here from the news article that happened. This is Yahoo News article that was sent to me earlier today from Becca. And it really irks me, man, because I don't believe how this could even happen. Mm-hmm. All right. And long story short, in Cleveland, assistant principal let in armed and dangerous individuals into the school because
with their guns on their hand.
With their guns, because he felt that it was unsafe for the individuals to go outside because there's police officers outside. What? And I can't make this up. So look, if you guys are on Facebook right now, if you guys are on our Facebook page, the All in a Day's Work Facebook page, I'm about to pull this up. The article right here. This is the video. And this is not me making this stuff up, you guys. I wish I was making this stuff up because it's that bad. It's literally that bad when you think about what's going on. So here we go. I got. If you're on the Facebook page, I got it pulled up. If you guys are just here on TikTok, you're going to be able to hear the audio, but not see the video. So here we go. I'm going to play this here for you guys. Here we go.
Right through that door, people, and they're coming towards the building in the front, the back.
A school security officer calls 911 watching teens with masks and guns. They walk up to Garrett Morgan School, a high school on Cleveland's west side. The school goes into lockdown, but the intruders get in anyway.
Oh, they want them in the building. They're inside the building right here, on the outer part. They got in the building?
Reports show the...
So real quick. They said four
armed individuals.
Four armed individuals.
Not one.
Four. Okay.
Those dangerous visitors got through one door, but they couldn't get through a second. Stopped in a vestibule or lobby, as you see in a lot of buildings like this. The reports also reveal how teens with face coverings and weapons even got that far.
Keep the school locked down.
A witness wrote, 2 assistant principals from leadership let the males into the building. Another statement shows, I confirmed the interior doors were locked and instructed the 4 suspects to come to the vestibule because it was unsafe to be outside because I saw police officers.
Because he saw police officers, he thought it was unsafe to let them outside. The gunmen. The 4 armed gunmen, he thought it was unsafe to have them outside because he saw police officers outside.
Is that good? No, it's good, brother.
I just first of all, when I first saw this, it put me in a rage because those were my kids locked down in that school. And I heard that the principal allowed them to come closer into the school because they thought it was unsafe because there were police officers outside. Do you think I would want my kids going back to that school?
Never.
I
would never want my children to back to school.
It's
No. At all.
Listen to this.
Cleveland police got there quickly. They arrested 3 teens, found 2 guns. But a school security consultant reacted.
Close the door!
You've just let them one step closer in.
Ken Trump runs National School Safety and Security Services.
The goal is to keep students away from harm, and you don't let the bad guy, especially when you know they're the bad guy, get closer into your school building.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead and let the police handle it.
The school district issued a statement saying, in part, the suspects entered a controlled, secure area that is specifically designed to prevent access to the rest of the building. The staff member made a split-second decision that the individual thought was the best way to keep students and staff safe.
Wait a minute. You thought that was the best decision? To bring them closer into school, regardless of if it's a kill box or not. You thought it was safer for the children of the school to keep them closer? In my eyes, lock down the entire school, keep them on the outside, and let God deal with them and the police.
They're going to figure it out.
Why would you let them into the school? Because if they take out that door or the person that was guarding that door, they're in the school now. Now they're in the school.
And the glass might not be bulletproof.
The glass might not be bulletproof. There's a way they can shoot the lockout. All I'm saying is, if you feared for the shooter's life over the lives of the kids in your school, you should not be a teacher or an administrator.
Sorry, but whether you make a good decision or not, doesn't matter. Good decisions and bad decisions don't matter. What matters really is what the fuck are you doing to protect kids? What are you not doing? That is not a good decision. Letting people move closer to children when they're. If you see a gun. Normally, people would get a little bit uncomfortable or, scared maybe, or react violently, or react cautiously.
Right.
Like they should react cautiously. There's nothing wrong with guns. Depends on who's holding, what their intent is, what they're doing, what they might do in the future. All these things are very important. But
for individuals walking aggressively with masks on and armed, coming towards the front door of the school.
Sounds like an armed robbery.
Does not sound like, well, that's just somebody walking around. First of all, 4 armed dudes walking to the school is I'm sorry, but yeah, coming from a volunteer who does this on the outside of schools does not work. It's shit like this that makes my job harder, right? Because you see 4 individuals on the outside of the school who were pretty much welcomed in, I would say, welcomed in by the assistant principal, okay? First of all, you broke the barrier when you crossed the school zone line, the school property line with guns. Automatic felony. Right?
Yes.
If you are not commissioned, if you were... But you're right. But if you're not a commissioned officer, there for duty, or in the state of Washington, there for pickup or retrieval of your kid, you cannot have a weapon on campus. Those are the laws. The laws are commissioned law enforcement, there for duty. Or if you're a concealed carry person, which is in Washington, if you guys did not know, you can't have it if you're there for pickup and retrieval. It's in the law. It's in the law. I didn't make it up, but it's in the law. If you're there for pickup and retrieval, it's legal. I can guarantee you 4 armed individuals walking aggressively with masks trying to shoot up the school or coming towards the school, we're not there for pickup and retrieval, and we're not law enforcement officers. So those now I can only speak for Washington. I don't know what Cleveland's laws are, but I can tell you right now, 4 individuals walking up into the front of the school that are armed, or excuse me, 3 of them are armed because they've recovered 3 weapons. Is not okay to welcome into the school by any means. I don't give a fuck if you're the assistant principal, the school security, or not. I'm not going to welcome them into the school where I have however many hundreds of kids.
Absolutely.
That are now my responsibility as an educator to keep them safe. Because obviously they didn't have a school resource officer, but they did have school security who did call the police. So obviously there was a situation in the school was locked down. If the school is locked down and your security is telling you to lock it down, first of all, who are you as the administrator to tell security no? First and foremost, I believe when it comes to that situation,
Yet it added to the alarm of teens with guns.
Excuse me. Pull their because here's the thing. Educators need to educate. Let security do security. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not the first person to tell you how to educate and teach kids. That's not my job. But I know security. I know details. I know that like the back of my fucking hand. I know what to look for that educators do not know what to look for. And that comes with experience, that comes with training, and that comes with fucking dedication.
100%.
I can tell you right now as an educator, that individual was more concerned about, well, we don't want to have lives lost on our school campus, and this could look like a heroic thing, because instead of taking 3 kids' lives or 4 kids' lives, you saved those 4 lives, now they can be prosecuted by the fullest extent of the law. Stop. Because I'm going to tell you right now, they made their decision when they decided to walk up into that school armed, ready to do evil acts on innocent people. They made their decision. Now, granted, do we need more mental health help out there for these individuals? Absolutely. Does Cleveland need it? I'm sure it needs it more than we need here in Washington State. But I can tell you this. When they made that decision to walk up into a public school, armed, ready to act out evil, they lost their ability to continue to even, in my eyes, in my opinion, they lost their ability to continue living a good life. Because at the end of the day, now we're teaching that it's better. It's better to arrest them than take them out and protect our kids. Yeah. That's what we're teaching, because let's just say his plan did not work appropriately. It would have been full chaos. Because now there's 4 individuals with 3 guns running through the school. If that plan didn't work.
Anyone who's had glass near them and get shot at, but will understand this. So bullets coming through. There's going to be
Hold on, real quick. Let me switch back over here.
Turn it up.
Let me switch over to your. Hang it. Sorry, guys. Switch over to your mic. There you go.
All right, we're back. Awesome. Okay, so anybody who's had bullets fly at them before, it's a really uncomfortable thing. So you wouldn't want that on kids. Like when you go to these kill boxes, there's usually some glass so you can see transparently through it. So shooting into one of these doors, like the bullets keep going. They don't always just stop. Like they don't always just stop.
Unless you got hollow points and you know exactly what your backstop is, bullets keep going.
Bullets will probably want to keep
and
going.
I can guarantee you the people that are acting these evil acts are not getting the most expensive hollow points and whatnot. They're getting the cheapest rounds that they can do to act out violence.
If you go to Snohomish County Sheriff's office, you'll be able to see every single one of these arrests they make usually, where it's a violent or a drugged up criminal offender who has firearms, and the worst part about it, they're always packing FMJ. every single time. So yeah, you don't have hollow pizzies there.
It's FMJ every time, and usually a cheap ass firearm.
And some drugs.
Yeah,
you know.
And what's happening now is we're seeing a lot more of these students that are doing it. They're already in the schools, right? So the question is, well, how do we mitigate the students from coming in with this stuff? Well, first of all, I'm not even talking metal detectors and stuff like that. First of all, let's break this down real fucking simple. If you have a couple of well-trained veterans and an SRO that walk through your halls and go into your classrooms these students are going to start to get comfortable and realize who this individual or individuals are. And they're going to start to open up to them. Because I know, just like you know, the kids in the school are the best eyes and ears out of anything.
Yes.
They hear and see everything. And if they're spooked and they trust you, they're going to tell you, hey, Bobby's acting funny and he was talking about cutting the throat of somebody. Or Bobby wants to go shoot the school. Or he's acting different. They're going to tell you the things that you can't see every day if they trust you. Mm. That's the thing with kids. Kids are looking for someone to trust.
And feel safe.
Because they don't know. They're forced to go to school. First of all, let's be honest. Most of the kids that are going to public school don't want to fucking be there.
Yeah,
let's be honest. They don't want that. Let's be real. They don't want to be there, but they're there because they have to, and whatever it is, and the curriculum's fucked and all that. We know that. We can get into that a whole different time.
Okay.
But the reality is our kids are going to school, and most of them don't want to be there because they're either already know what they need to know. Like my daughter's so far advanced right now, she does not need any further schooling. I can teach her how to do her taxes and all that shit from home and all that, and she'd be successful because she knows all the basic stuff. She's in 7th grade now taking 9th grade classes.
Oh, yeah. She's gonna be
you see what I'm saying? Like, she knows the basics of what she needs to survive. All the extra shit, the woke nonsense that they're putting in schools is unnecessary. I'm going to be honest. It really is.
Get them out of there.
I want my daughter to know how to fucking start a fire, but they're not teaching her that. Mm-hmm. They're not. They're teaching her instead why blue hair matters more than fucking regular culture. You see what I mean? They're more focused on shit like that than keeping our kids safe.
And a big issue we're also facing right now in America is this hatred for our law enforcement officers. Like I said before, if I call 911 right now, someone's going to show up. It's like I work predominantly in Seattle, so when they pull the cops off the street and the violence goes up, I watch bodies drop, bro. Let's talk
about that just for a split second.
Yeah.
So, 2020, George Floyd riots happen. Not even in our state of Washington, okay? In Minnesota, this happens. And the entire country goes bananas.
They felt connected.
And I get it. What happened with George Floyd, Fentanyl Floyd, whatever you want to call him.
Yes.
What happened to him was wrong, should not have happened.
100%.
And all of the officers that were a part of that deserve what they got.
Mm-hmm. Well, they were proven guilty in the court of law. So,
right.
Who, as a non-criminal expert, who am I going to sit there to be a backseat quarterback or a Tuesday night quarterback and say, oh, it could have been wrong? No, it was tried in the court of law, and he was found guilty. Found guilty
amongst what is it?
A jury of his peers.
A jury of your peers.
Yes.
You were found guilty and you were prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So that right there is a prime example of what you would want to have happen if things do go sideways. Mm. This individual did a horrific thing, end up taking the life of a person in a way that was not justified. Mm. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though he was prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, along with the individuals who were there that allowed it to happen, it still was not enough for a lot of people. And they went bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Countrywide, everywhere. To include here in Washington State, where we have our own individual problems when it comes to law enforcement, which Seattle Police Department, which was taken over by the government because of their bad conduct.
Yes.
Right?
And what's really crazy now is Seattle Police Department, they have one of the most renowned training programs for shoot versus non-shoot training. Here we have some of the best funding. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the Seattle Police Department, and unfortunately, a lot of these officers are not able to perform their duties due to political, reasons and stuff like that. But there's a lot of great stuff that these officers can still do, but there's not a lot. They can't do their normal duties.
They can't do their normal duties, which takes them into a more difficult and dangerous approach to acting or responding. Because when you look at where we are right now, where we're understaffed and overwhelmed, right? So every single officer is responding and reacting. There's no proactive approach anymore. There is zero proactive approach because they're too busy getting caught up, trying to catch up. They can't even do regular investigations because they're too busy trying to catch up. You see what I mean? So you see a crackhead looking person that's asking you for help. They're going to ignore that person because they got shots fired down the road.
100%. And stabbings, shootings, all these things it's nonstop happening. Right, it happens right in front of me, man.
But they're so understaffed. They don't have a choice but to triage and go to the more
prioritized call.
More prioritized call. That's the best way to put it.
Yes, brother. It's really frustrating.
So here's my question. When we talk about Deputy Rose, who's in charge of 8 schools, I don't even know how many hundreds or even close to maybe 1,000 plus kids. 8 individual schools, to include the administration and staff that he is individually responsible for. How is that adequate?
It's not. It's abhorrent, man. It's disgusting. And for those watching on TikTok, please let us know what you think. Is there a proper manning throughout the schools? I mean, I personally don't think so. Walking around, there's no reason why I should feel unsafe with my wife's little brother going to school. There's no reason why we should wonder whether our kids are safe or not. And it's a huge issue.
If your kids have to practice putting on, so this is one of the things that I heard that is going on in the schools as they're doing their drills. They're teaching kids how to patch bullet wounds, how to apply tourniquets, how to save lives, essentially, which I get is good stuff for kids and people to know, but I do not feel it's necessary in our schoolhouse when we have the money, the tools, and the individuals who can provide that for you. Okay? So let's say in a perfect world, we have one SRO in the schools and then we have multiple security. Yeah. Let's just say. And while nothing is happening in a perfect world, we can also utilize these individuals to teach those things if necessary.
Yes.
While they're doing their drills, while they're doing their assemblies, we have the security now showing you how to do this stuff in case it happens, instead of some Joe Schmo school teacher, some art teacher showing you how to put on a tourniquet. Yeah. Nothing against the art teacher. Nothing against him putting on a tourniquet. But the art teacher's job is to teach you how to fucking paint, not put on a tourniquet. The math teacher's job is to teach you how to do math, not how to hide in the closet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The janitor is there to clean up the mess, not lock down the school and teach you where to hide. 100%. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hire a trained security professional or law enforcement, or what we're doing, commission security, to do this job.
We all need to do better. And at what point does it become criminal negligence?
Well, it can be. That's where I'm looking at it now. It seems like they're purposely not trying to do something, neglecting the proper thing to do. When I have the answer, I know this can be done. And here's the thing. Because I have offered and asked everybody on platforms, on even the news. When the mainstream news came to me and asked me, I asked them, well, what's the better alternative that we can do right now to keep our kids safe? And I've yet to get an answer. Well, you see, we do.
I don't think this is a good idea because I didn't come up with it.
It's usually I didn't come up with the well, we just have to make sure that there are background checks. And I got that. Don't even worry about that. We got that under lock. That's already going to happen.
I think that as you provide answers for things, people always try to sow seeds of doubt. They'll try to look for negatives, and when you look for negatives, you're going to find them. If I sit here and say, I think all cops are great, but and we also have to stop dealing in an absolution.
Absolutes, thank you.
Like as soon as the second I say all cops are bad, or all white people are racist, or all black people are supposed to listen to hip hop, fucking drink Henny and Coke,
vote for Joe Biden,
and vote for Joe Biden, because we have to stop putting people in boxes because there's nothing progressive about it. If we want to be progressive and progress in life, we have to stop putting people in the boxes. We have to stop telling people that they suck or that they're disqualified when they are qualified, and we have to stop letting our kids be murdered by our actions of doing nothing. We're doing nothing. We have to do better. It's essential we do.
I believe that not only do we have to do better, but we have to be able to show our kids that stepping outside of the norm in order to do better is necessary.
Yeah.
It's not always what we want to do, but sometimes, and right now, it is absolutely what we need to do. Because here's the thing. If I send my kids to school tomorrow and I hear that there's an incident, but they had to wait for somebody to respond, I'm going to lose it.
Because they're in a different area.
Regardless of if nobody got hurt or not. The fact that we have to wait for a response and figure out what's going on while my kids are waiting, and every second counts when the shooter's inside the school. Every second counts. So if I have to wait 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes before the first person arrives, and then they're arriving and they're just going in. The first person arriving is grabbing their primary and they're going in. That's the plan. That's the current plan right now. The first person that arrives, you're grabbing your primary, you're praying to fucking whoever it is you're praying to, and you're going in. That is a 100% reactive approach.
And reactive approaches aren't usually successful. We look at Uvalde. Like if you have gone through the difficult thing of watching the footage, it's really painful to watch, to see the response. As soon as a couple shots get popped off, everybody cowers in fears or runs away. You know exactly where the shooter is. You've heard the shots. Every single one of those bullets leaving the gun is a children not just being terrified, but
that's
being brutalized.
Every round, that's a life.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. That's a life.
Yeah.
Because
5.56 on a small body ain't something special.
It's going to pierce right through you and hit the next thing.
Yeah.
I've seen it done. It's a small bullet, but it goes fast.
Yeah.
There's a reason we use it. There's a reason that it is successful. And then, so here's the next thing. Then, instead of them talking about hiring the right individuals to do the job necessary, all they want to talk about is getting rid of the tools. Now, I know, just like you know, and most of you guys out there know, an armed society is a polite society. There was a man on the highway the other day that hijacked a semi-truck with a hammer.
A hammer.
A hammer.
A hammer.
Rushed the police officers with a hammer and got dropped. Right here, 2 days ago. Right here, off the highway.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to sit there and tell you, if it can be done with a hammer, imagine what can be done with bad individuals with the same tools.
Yes, brother. I just had just 2 nights ago on my podcast, I had a good friend I served with, Dylan Osborne, and he was in a correction. He was working in a Florida correctional officer's, job. So he said, we'll put it this way, man. I worked in the most secure facility in the state of Florida, and people brutalized each other with pieces from doors that they sat there and worked back and forth until the metal broke, sharpened it on the ground for days until it was just right, and killed officers. What do you think can be, like, there's a secure facility in the world. You can't even bring in contraband. You know what? It's a felony if you bring in contraband as a guard or as a person. So if they can do it in a secure facility, what makes you think that there's anything stopping them from doing it in a school? And this is not to sow seeds of fear, because I hate people that sow seeds of fear, but this is just me speaking honestly.
This is reality. This is what's happening right now.
And acting like we don't have a problem is wrong. We do have a problem, and it really bothers me. That's why I like your program so much. That's why I buy into it. That's why I believe in it, because it's something that can be done. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I am going to be one of your volunteers that comes down. Obviously supporting my family comes first, but protecting children is something that anybody who's able-bodied and who has the right experience and the right heart can do once the right screening is done. Like, obviously the mental eval, the psychological evaluation and stuff like that is very important, but it's a necessity that we do this. And all days work is an easy program. It works. Tell me it hasn't when you've been there. I'll tell you what, you having a gun is a deterrent in itself. You having a gun, wearing a bulletproof vest is another deterrent, and you having a positive attitude as you do it is a great deterrent as well. So there's a lot of different things that are going to be deterring harmful individuals for doing things.
I think the attitude part is where a lot of people start to come around and realize, wait a minute, maybe the way we were looking at it before isn't right. Not even that it's not right. It's just, I say this a lot. what I'm doing may not be the way, but it's definitely a way to help right now. And until I can find somebody with a better alternative to what we can do right now, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
And if there is a better alternative, I'm all ears. And I would love to listen and take on some of those approaches to make this program better.
We can rebuild schools, but ultimately glass windows are glass windows.
If you throw a stone at a glass house, you know what's going to happen.
Yes. And we can make single point entries. We can do a lot of different things. But ultimately, deterring threats is an easy thing. You don't attack usually somebody if you know, unless you're a really bad person and you got some death wish or whatever, you don't walk up and shoot at cops, right?
Exactly. You're not going to go into a secure facility trying to start some shit. You're going to a place that has nothing to where you can try to be successful as a criminal.
And it is a cowardice act to harm those who don't need who are innocent.
Yeah.
You know, especially children, like the youth. We're talking about our angels. We're talking about people created these things. People created these beautiful creatures. Why would you want to harm them? We're not talking about, you know, your average guy who wearing a MAGA hat and is yelling with an AR-15 and a mouthful of dip, or somebody who is saying let's burn down the city or something, like it, as far as extremism goes, right? We're talking about someone who wants to kill kids. We need to protect the kids.
Let's talk about the stigma that comes with veterans. Okay,
yes, Lord.
Because obviously and I brought this up with Troy Oliver last week. I said, what is the biggest concern? He said, well, you know, it's just making sure that they're psychologically ready. And I said, stop right there. I said, the reason you have that concern is because of what you see in Hollywood, right? Yeah. And I brought that up bluntly because I said, honestly, in your history, when have you ever heard of a veteran going crazy and hurting kids? Because don't worry, I'll wait. When have you ever in our country heard of a veteran going bananas and trying to harm children?
Never. And it is a really big problem. There's a new movie that came out called Merging Vets and Players. It's about the organization I've been working with lately, promoting veteran mental health and helping other vets and finding them a new purpose, and showing them that the mission does continue when you do come home, and you don't need to make a decision to end your own life to feel that the pain's gone. You have a purpose here. And that's why I agree with your program as well, because you're repurposing veterans and showing them that a mission does not have to stop just because they're not doing it overseas in Iraq or Afghanistan.
I'm trying. I'm just trying. I don't even know, because as you know, I'm just one person, right? So I don't know how much of a difference I'm actually making in this program or what we're trying to do. Everybody tells me, of course, you're so amazing, blah, blah, blah. And you start to feed into the comments. Meanwhile, you're still sitting here like, there's got to be something more I can do because our kids are still getting hurt, right? And I'm like, every single time I see it on the news or see something, I'm like, it hurts me.
Well, we just saw it in Seattle just last week.
Yeah.
I almost got hit by there was like a convoy of the
SWAT?
the QRF, the SWAT team. Almost took me out driving to the school.
My thing is, just a year ago, that same school board got rid of all of the school resource officers because of the George Floyd shit. They didn't want it.
Because they were dealing absolution. You can all cops are bad. No. All humans can be inherently good and evil. It's a path you choose. You choose. The word decision is one of my favorite words. It's Latin. It comes from the word scission, which means to cut. So you cut off all other objects you want to make, right? So you have to make a decision and you know what? I just want to be honest. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but I'm a human being who's put thought into it. I've done my research, and I think that I've seen a lot of different scenarios where people did nothing and horrible shit kept happening. Surprise to fucking prize. So sitting on your hands or saying my hands are tied or I don't know what to do or I'm afraid of what the backlash. If you're worried about backlash over children's lives, quit your job right now. Please do. Please quit your job. You know what? There's a 60-year-old lady who is somebody's grandma. There is an old man who can barely walk who would love to make better decisions than you.
Absolutely.
If you are too much of, and it's a coward. It is a coward act.
It's a cowardice act.
It's a cowardice act to sit there while children are being harmed and do nothing. Just like it's a cowardice act to videotape people be hurt or harmed in front of you with your phone while it happens, just so you can get a couple more likes or a couple more views on social media. It is a poor act. There's nothing more important than helping other people, and these kids are worth it. Get off your ass, people. This goes directly to all the people that are in the school boards. Get off your ass. Stand up. Do something positive and have a positive effect on other people. And as parents, if your children are in school and you're nervous at all, just even slightly concerned about the fact that there might be an active shooter just one day, maybe in your kid's school, maybe in any school, please go to your meetings. Be active. Talk to other parents. Hey, one of my favorite conversation starters are, oh my goodness, it's so upsetting what happened in Uvalde, and it's really still bothering me. What has your school done recently to make your kids feel safe?
Right.
Or ask kids, hey, is your school keeping you safe? You know what the answer is? No, or I have no idea.
I have no idea. Yeah. They don't know.
Teachers don't know what they're doing because they're doing nothing. School district boards don't know because they're doing nothing. Elected officials, mayors, governors, senators that pass great magazine bans, that are so proud of that, they don't know what they're doing. They know they're going along with the narrative that their political party is part of, but they don't know whether or not they're making a difference or not. It's because they're not. It's really easy. You can do it, and I challenge and I commend the people that are doing it, but I challenge every parent of a child to make sure that you act on your emotions. And I'm only going to say this for this scenario only. I don't say always act on emotions, right? Act on your emotions. Step up. Go to these meetings. Voice how you feel. Ask your school district, ask your teachers, what is the school district board doing to keep our kids safe? And the answer is always going to be either nothing or I don't know. Teachers in Seattle had to protest, hit the streets, and go on strike to get mental health resources in Seattle.
The kids. Real quick, the kids last week, the students protested last week, demanding for them to do something to keep them safe. The kids!
Just metal detectors. All they want is metal detectors. And a school resource officer. If you don't want them, hire a vet.
When I hear the kids are actively protesting and asking and demanding for something to be done, that tells you that ideological bullshit that they're trying to push is just that. Because if you sit there and try to tell me that it is safer to not have a school resource officer, but the kids are demanding something, there's a problem. You need to be out of that job.
Yeah,
you obviously don't know what you're doing.
Go to your meetings. You know what? I think it was Department of Homeland Security started to categorize parents for showing up to school board meetings as a threat to democracy or whatever.
Yeah, they labeled us domestic terrorists.
You know what? If the parents who want change for their schools are domestic terrorists, what does that make you? It makes you an oppressive government. And there you go. We have systemic oppression in America. It's you.
There you go.
You guys are it. You guys did it. We figured out the solution. It's you. You're the bad guys. And you're helping people doing nothing when we have a problem in our country is a big issue. And my brother here just said that think about how many steps it takes to even make a decision one at a time, or those steps that you can choose. They're definitely not going to let veterans provide safety. And I agree. A lot of people might not want to have vets do it. Then stop thanking them for their service and just tell them that they're the broken people that society portrays them to be in the movies. The movie MVP directly talks about this issue, calling all vets broken, PTSD-ridden people. There's a lot of people that come back, and they're so much better because of their military service.
Look at what I'm able to do.
Yes.
Look at what, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any means, but I could have, it's just like you said a minute ago, decisions. You make decisions, right? I decided that I wasn't going to do what I was doing, and I needed to do something different, right? So, for instance, a year ago, I was working at the Boeing facility doing privatized federal security, protecting executives making $400,000 a year while I'm making chump change to keep them safe, going through all of the corporate nonsense and jargon. And I was on the verge of committing suicide.
Yeah.
Because it was just, it's unnecessary stress for a bunch of people who don't give a fuck about you. But they're going to tell you to do shit that is illegal and not part of your duties to make them look good on paper. Meanwhile, if you fuck up, even if they tell you to do that job and you fuck up, you know what they're going to do? Throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Hey, man, I got to pay for that yacht. Look, my kids are in private school. Listen, you got to go. You're the problem now because you're the lowest man on the totem pole. I could not do that, and I got purposely fired from that job so I could no longer have to deal with that bullshit.
Yes.
And because of that, it made me be able to start what I do today. And being able to do that because I had to make a decision. And still to this day, even a couple weeks ago, if this is the right decision that I'm going with. Because right now, I'm not making money doing this.
Yes, it's all volunteer work.
And it is stressful and hard to make ends meet, especially with everything that's going on right now. So if you guys are able to help us out, go to allinadays.com. You can make a donation to help us out and continue this operation.
Buy a
going.
t-shirt.
Get yourself an All in a Day's Work t-shirt. It's right there for you. Something to help us out. Every little bit helps. Actually, I'm going to show you guys. I can't show you because you guys are on TikTok. But if you guys go to allinadays.com, you guys are going to be able to see the work that we're doing. I have the pictures. I have the articles. I have things there for you guys to see exactly what it is I'm doing in the community and how All in a Day's work is there to help. I know firsthand and first that this program will work if I have the support of individuals like yourself who are helping me make this possible.
It's
okay?
possible.
Because I'm one person who cannot do it by myself. I can't. It's been established I cannot do it all by myself. I can like, share, subscribe, and do all that stuff, right? Myself. But it's only my own shit.
Yeah.
It takes other individuals to push out the same videos, the message, that what we're doing here to make this work. Because the mainstream isn't going to do it. They're not going to. So it takes us as a people, as an individual level, to actually show, hey, look, enough is enough. Let's be honest. More people watch social media than they watch mainstream media. Unless it's like football or some like big show that they're watching social media. Because you can pick and choose exactly what you want, and a lot of the content is free. Okay? So with that being said, individuals can choose to share this message and what we're doing or not.
Yeah, and that's okay.
But it's up to them. If they believe in it and they share it, that right there is what makes the message in this program genuinely work.
Absolutely.
Because if it's just, hey, man, you got $1 million grant from the government, guess what? They're going to say, we're going to give you this $1 million, but we want you to do X, Y, and Z, or else you can't have this money.
Yeah. And
see what I'm saying?
And then at that point, you're just working for the government.
You're just contracted. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's why I have not applied for any federal grants.
I would never apply for a federal grant.
I am working local only with donations. Hell, I'll call Fran's Bakery if I have to and see if they have a grant. You see what I mean? Because I want to show that we can do this on a genuine level. And it's going to take time. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I've yet to get a grant. But it's hard. But I won't stop because I believe this is the right way to do this. I'm in the crawl phase. This is the crawl, walk, run thing, right? I'm in the crawl phase. We've established what we need. We're crawling towards something. Once Derek gets inaugurated, now we're walking.
Yeah.
Because once he gets inaugurated, now we're able to sit down, make the plan, and start the training.
Well, I think the plan... we should, like, obviously you have rough drafts, and I think that's what is a key component of this too. Having a rough draft already before we go through with this is important. You're on the right path with this thing, man. And anyone who knows you, anyone who listens to the things you say, whether they think it's perfect or not, they can't agree that it's very essential that we as Americans, as human beings, we prioritize our children's safety over those of our government. Like we have cops protect Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. We talked about that before. We have cops protect Jay Inslee, our governor. We have officers do different things. Let's have them protect the kids.
Dude, you can't even go inside Costco without having to show credentials.
100%.
You cannot get inside Costco without showing credentials. But I can walk up into my daughter's classroom and have a seat inside the class without anybody stopping me. That's a problem.
Yeah, big red flags.
That is a problem.
Big red flags. What about you? What about y'all on TikTok over there? Do you feel comfortable with your with the safety currently? going on right now, and everybody on Facebook as well. Do you feel currently comfortable with the safety in your school? Because I can say that it definitely should improve, in my opinion, for me and everyone else.
I'm going to be real. I think it can improve across the entire nation dramatically. But because I'm only one individual, because I'm just me and a small nonprofit, there's only so much I can do, because I have people in other states that send me messages and emails regularly. Hey, how can I do this in my area? How can I do this? And I'm like,
do it.
And essentially, that's what I tell them. I say, look, you just have to do it. Start with talking with your local law enforcement officers that are on the streets. Talk with their local sheriff's office. Start doing that first, and then get out there and do it, because they can't stop you from practicing your First or Second Amendment right. And as long as you're not breaking any laws or rules or policies, or not even policies, laws, you're fine.
Yep. And here it says right here, like all veterans assemble, he said, I have plans, vet plans. I, as a vet, have plans for my son protecting his school as well as other school. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't take some... You don't need some certification from the government saying that, okay, now we'll start to protect our kids.
Thank you.
You don't
it doesn't
need that.
take that.
We just need good human beings who are Americans.
Whew, thank you, Eddie. Because that is where people get. Well, what makes you qualified to do this? Or
what disqualifies me is
thank you.
Don't use a half-assed negative to try to push your own narrative. If instead of looking for reasons for something not to work, how about you look for reasons for it not to work? I'm going to be honest. If I see you with a gun, now you're a threat to me and whatever criminal act I want to do, depending on like what platform you're in. But if you're guarding a school and I want to go shoot up school, I'm going to see you and I'm going to say, camo, gun, looks 6 foot tall, black man. I'm going to avoid this. I think I'm going to maybe not think about shooting up a school. Is this guy? Is there more of him at other schools? He looks like a vet. It says veteran Overwatch. Oh shit! This guy probably shot people overseas. Did you kill anybody when you were over there? You know.
But you know what? It's that right there that is okay for a criminal to think. I would much rather a criminal think that I'm that crazy asshole that wants to take out a bad guy, because at the end of the day, I will take out the bad guy.
Yeah, he's got to go.
I have no issues taking out the bad guy, but I will not be put into a category that says that all veterans are crazy and are going to snap, because I've never seen it. Because every single veteran, I think it's almost instilled in you when you go through basic training, because it breaks you down to how little of a person you really are. Because like I said, it doesn't matter if you came in and you was a rich person or you was the brokest of broke. Those drill sergeants or drill instructors are there to break you down to the lowest point and build you back up as a low-level private or sailor, right? That is what it's designed for, to break you down at the lowest level, right? So those individuals who have already been broken down have a different sense of self.
Yes.
Self goes away when the grand scheme of things, like our children, who are our future. And if we're not going to protect our future, then we're wasting time. If we're not going to invest everything in our future, we're talking about the future right now, right? They're talking about going to the moon and going to Mars and rockets and the next iPhone and all this technology, and we're going to be driving electric cars and get rid of gas. They're talking about that for the future. But what they're not talking about is the people who are going to be manning and positioning these things. The people who are going to carry when we leave. Well, they're not going to be able to carry and do anything if they're not protected.
Well, we're not going to have many kids left to do that if they're grow up in a constant state of fear of active shooter from their peers or from outside forces because of lack of security. And you can't change someone's heart, but what you can do is you can educate them and you can make people want to do something different. And that's why everybody should go to allindayswork.live and check it out, because the things you're doing are heaven sent, man. And I spotlight a lot about what you do on my podcast in different episodes. The whole series of Service and Sacrifice is directly responsible for trying to just shed light on what veterans go through and how it doesn't have to be over when you leave. Just because you take off that uniform doesn't mean you have to stop serving. And you are a true community servant, and you're doing it. People in your community react well to you. I loved seeing people defend you when King 5 News and Cairo and all the nonsense platforms came out to interview you and then did a smear campaign. But all the people in the comments, they tried keyword. But all the comments in their Facebook were supporting what you're doing. How many parents are terrified? You're giving them a big hug.
This is what's crazy right now. I have had teachers find my phone number, my personal phone number. I don't know how, but they have found it and call me asking if I can stop by the school. Teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names or name schools.
Yeah.
But I have individual teachers that call me, hey, do you think you can stop by this school around this time just in case? Or, we're going to have a meeting around this time and there's threats that might be coming. Do you think that you guys can stop? That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad that they have to call me, individual, to see if I can stop by because they don't have any faith in either their school or the law enforcement that's in their area.
100%, brother.
How? So the way I look at it, yeah, I'm glad to help and I'm happy to help. But I want to establish a way to where they don't feel that there is an issue with them calling the police for help.
Yes.
They should be calling them before they call me.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Got to break down these walls.
Yeah. And if they don't feel comfortable talking to their law enforcement for help, then how can I help bridge that gap to show them that they're there to help? And you should be calling them before you call me, a private citizen, to go do some job. You know what I mean? Because what that looks like is they're calling some vigilante to come take care of some stuff.
Well, and it also shows that we still have a serious issue and we're continuing to allow it to happen by not rebuilding the relationship between law enforcement and the community. On Monday, I'm having on Craig Hanaumi. He's a Bellevue cop. He's one of the best community outreach officers I've ever seen. He spends all his time talking to kids on and off his shift and doing great things. And I'm very excited for that because we need to, reforge and rebuild these things that connect us as people in our community. That person just puts on a badge and a gun and their uniform doesn't make them any different than you or your neighbors. They just have a different job, and their job is to keep your ass safe and to show up when you call for help. Our first responders, we care about our firefighters. We also need to care about our law enforcement officers.
That's a really good point that you just made, because firefighters are always looked at, and EMS, they're looked at as the heroes. They show up, they're the heroes. But the cops show up or security shows up, it's an issue.
Well, we have predominantly bad interactions with officers when they're showing up. Usually somebody's going to jail.
Well, let me ask you this. What can you really expect when you, as one individual officer, are responsible for 8 different schools or 8 different neighborhoods by yourself? You're undermanned and you're overwhelmed, going call to call to call. What kind of experience do you expect that you're going to get?
Well, they're having a negative experience as well.
You know what I mean? They got maybe 15 minutes with you, if they're lucky, to try to get over your case, get the information, take the report, and then they're leaving. Because if it's a non-felony or life-threatening kind of call that they're going on right now, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get, hey, just file a police report online.
Yeah.
File that police report online, and we'll get to it when we can. And you know what happens there.
Oh, yes.
It gets lost. And that's what's happening. If you get your car robbed right now, you ain't getting it back. You have to go look for it yourself.
And sadly, one of my good friends was the first responder on the scene in Tukwila the other day. So, that's another horrible situation where we got car robberies, armed robberies. Those quickly turn into murders. We saw it with P&B Rock in California. Armed robberies can get so much worse. So it's essential that we also prosecute the bad people doing it. But that's it for another time, man.
I mean, yeah, that right there. But King County alone is on a whole different level of woke, because they will not prosecute teens.
Yeah.
If a teen acts out some felony act and they shoot and kill somebody, they're pretty much not prosecuting them at all because they don't want to have teens in jail. That's pretty much what King County said. They don't want teens in jail, so we're not going to prosecute them. And what does that do? Hey, look, this year our level of crime has decreased by X amount. It's because you're not prosecuting anybody.
And it's piss poor. It's piss poor, man. It's piss poor. It's a big issue that we're having, and I really do look forward to the future of this program and seeing it blossom into something that's positive.
Well, I appreciate your words, and you actually, as a brother, as a friend, as an individual in the community, I appreciate you just willing to even talk about it. Because, like I said before, for me, as one person trying to push this dream, right? Because this is essentially a dream I had, or not a dream I had, but it's a concept that could completely not work, and I lose everything.
Yeah.
Right? But to have an individual like yourself who's local to push this message out and continue to help in the way that you are, I can't even say thank you enough.
Well, man,
honestly,
you're more than
man.
welcome, man. I'm
Honestly,
thankful,
because
thankful to do it.
I don't know at the end of the day how much value I have in this operation or how much value I bring. I don't know. And I never will. Because,
You never will.
Yeah, as an individual, you don't. Because you have to subconsciously think, well, look, this is just people supporting you because it's social media or it's trending or whatever. It may not be. They maybe really do support you for what you're doing, and they're all in.
It's just all in a day's work, brother. This
Yeah.
is what we do as vets.
And that right there is the prime reason why I love this. Look, at the end of the day, it's just all in a day's work because
That's what we do.
It takes a village. It takes individual to lean on other individuals to make things happen. That's what we do. No one person was able to do anything forever on their own. We need to lean on each other and utilize those strengths that you have, that I might not have, to help build and work together. Instead of this jealousy or envy or whatever we have out there as humans, if we took that same energy and put it towards working together to make a positive outcome in anything that we do. It doesn't matter if it's school security, veteran PTSD, outreach programs, going fishing for vets, whatever the case is, it does not matter. But if we work together to push the message that we need to save lives, provide a new purpose for our veterans who have been forgotten. We're talking, and this is why I say this and I'm so passionate, Eddie. We're talking about the most elite of our individuals as Americans. We're talking about the best of our women and our men, who we will send downrange to accomplish whatever mission we ask them to, and we will accomplish that mission. That's what we do. We accomplish the mission no matter what. That's what America does, when it comes to our military. That's what the fuck we do. But when we come home, we're no longer that person. You're not that rank. You're not that staff sergeant that was once leading individuals downrange. You're now just Anthony, and thank you for your service.
Service doesn't have to end just because you're putting off your uniform.
It doesn't. But like I said before, man, I'm one individual sitting here on TikTok and Facebook, right? Talking about what we did and what we want to do, right? It does not matter what I did 10 years ago. I'm a veteran. In the grand scheme of things to society, I have PTSD and I'm broken. That's the big stigma, right? You might snap on some kids. We need to keep an extra closer eye on you. Just because you have PTSD in your file, we have to keep an extra eye on you because we don't know. Meanwhile, all they want to do at the VA is jam a bunch of pills down your throat and not actually offer you the help that you need.
And that harms vets really bad.
That harms vets more than it helps. I know so many vets that walk away from their therapist just because they're trying to just force pills down their throat.
It's not healthy.
I did. I walked away from the VA therapist because all they wanted to do was keep medicating me and doping me up. That's it. They didn't offer me any programs. I asked for, hey, do you guys have a men's group that I can go to? A PTSD men's group. When I was on active duty, every Friday at noon, we had a PTSD men's group that I would go to as a part of my therapy. And it was the best fucking thing I could have ever did. You get out of the military, it's gone.
Well, it doesn't have to be gone, man. There's a Seattle chapter of MVP that I joined, and us working together with them, it really does help because they're linked to other programs.
That's the thing, though. Why don't you hear about that?
You don't hear about it because it's not spoken about. Because we don't want to. We don't want to say that. Hey, sometimes we got to pop smoke and need help, man.
It's not. I think the programs itself. The programs are there. They're established. Why aren't the programs being blasted out there on every fucking base, on every goddamn transition service out there? Why aren't these programs being implemented in there. Why? Instead, all you see is these big businesses who have money go to these JBLM job fairs and stuff to try to hire people just to put them into their thing and forget all about their service. What I'm doing here all in a day's work essentially is going to be utilizing what skills that you have from the military service and elsewhere. You do jiu-jitsu. You do firearm training and medical training, Eddie, outside of the military. You as an individual, right?
Yeah.
So me, as all in a day's work founder, want to use individuals like you who have those skills that I don't necessarily have to help teach and train others, to help do better and provide those skills for other people, other veterans, other outreach programs. You see what I'm saying?
We can all work together to accomplish this.
Yeah, there's no reason that I can't have, let's just say we can't have our own, and I'm not trying to, because this is where it gets scary. Oh, you guys are just trying to make your own little military force with the...
I would never want to be a part of a military force. No.
That's not what this is. This is community. This is community-based protection is what I want to say.
You'll never know who your neighbors are.
Right. But the protection is not just protecting kids with guns. Protection is also protecting our mentals, making sure that you as a veteran, me as a veteran, and our brothers and sisters are protected mentally to provide additional services and skills for our community. That's what I do in all in a day's work, is providing that new purpose that you might not have known that you might not have had or might need. I know other veterans that pretty much feel that they've lost. They've lost it. They have nothing else to go for.
Over.
And this right here has inspired them to want to do something different because this is something that they can do.
Oh, yeah.
They have the skills, the training, the certification. Not only that, but they have the will to want to do what is necessary to keep our kids safe.
And that's all it takes, dude.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And if I have that in individual caliber kind of person right here working with me, not for me, but with me, that's the kind of person, and that's how we change the world. We can't do it by ourselves, but if I can utilize your skill set and you can utilize your buddy's skill set and vice versa, and we work together to accomplish said task or said mission, we will be successful.
It's all about you know what he just said right there. It's about community policing.
Policing our own, absolutely.
Policing our own, but more than just policing them, just working together as a team. We all have great skills to exploit in a good way. There's a lot of bad skills, but if we work together, we can accomplish literally anything. There's nothing that Americans can't do. We saw it. There's so many different times in history we've seen it, but we can do it. But it starts with the idea that we fed into, that we believe in. Was what you're doing, keeping kids safe. It's simple. 3 words: keeping kids safe. You're either doing it or you're not. This is one of those things where we have to deal in absolutes. Is it kids? Does this help keep kids safe or not? Does removing AR-15s keep kids safe or not? Does having an armed vet who is stable, who is mentally screened, who is working with local law enforcement instead of against them, is this going to be a good thing? Probably. But are you scared? Fuck, I'd be scared.
I'm scared.
I'd be scared to allow somebody, or to quote unquote allow somebody else to protect our kids. But you know what? No one else is doing it.
No one else is doing it right now.
So looks like this is what it is.
I haven't seen a group of, no offense to our law enforcement, right? But I have not seen a group of off-duty police officers joining together to do this. I don't see a group of off-duty firefighters joining up to do this. I don't. I don't see the group of other security companies joining up to do this. I don't. But you know who I do see that are willing to step up and do this?
Vets.
Veterans.
Yeah, man.
Not only are they stepping up to do this, they're volunteering to do it for free right now. If that does not tell you that we can accomplish this for damn near next to nothing, because a lot of us are bringing our own equipment. So, essentially, all you're going to have to pay for is their salary and some benefits, which we can more than provide as a country.
I mean, honest, if I were to do it, I wouldn't even want the benefits. Like, I personally excuse myself from needing it. I don't want the benefits. I just want to know that I'm making a difference, and 2, that people feel safe. It's really that simple.
Right, but that's you and I.
But that's just you and me.
You and I. right now with inflation the way that it is and things the way that they are, people are doing everything that they can to scrape by.
Yes.
And I get why I'm doing it the way I am, but I can't just have hire a veteran to come help me for their time and they're not getting paid.
100%.
Like
100%.
people have to get paid for this type of job.
They do need to.
Because at the end of the day, I'm risking my life for these kids.
Yes.
And on a perfect day, absolutely nothing happens. But on the one off chance that something does, I want the right person there that's willing to do it. You know what I'm saying?
You got to put yourself aside.
And if we cannot afford to pay these individuals what they are worth, and I'm not even talking about what the job is, what they are worth, what training and skills do you have as Eddie, the combat veteran? Now that you're training outside of this in the private sector, you're adding more skills. Why would I not want to utilize you? As opposed, because here's what happens if you hire just some random security company. You're going to end up following their corporate policy, which is we're not going hands-on. We're not doing anything that's going to get us sued. Observe and report. That is it. That's what you're going to get if you just hire a security company to do this job. That's what you're going to get. Because they're getting paid by the hour and they don't care. But if I can commission individuals who are veterans to work with our law enforcement in the schools, and this is their dedicated duty, as a commissioned security officer or commissioned deputized reserve officer, whatever we're going to call it, that provides a whole different level of structure, discipline, and purpose as opposed to just some random security guard. Because if you do the wrong thing, not only are you losing your commission, you're losing everything that comes with that and those benefits. You see what I mean? This is the caliber of individual I want. Because I've worked for the biggest security company in America. I worked for them, Allied Universal. I worked for them. They do all the big contracts and government security. Yeah, they got it all. But the caliber of individual that they hire is anybody off the street, to include, hey, you got a criminal record, we're going to put you at the Boeing facility at the top secret site. You can't have a firearm though, but we're going to stick you there. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, they don't even do that at schools, so.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
My name is Trip. If you guys are on TikTok and Facebook, I see you guys. Well, actually, Facebook stopped, but it's still recording. This is the conversations that we need to have. These are the conversations that will make a difference and actually help us succeed here in our future. I can't be the only one doing it. Eddie can't be the only one doing it, but working together, we're able to make the positive difference in our lives that ultimately need to be made.
100%.
I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This may not be the way, but it's definitely a way to make a difference in our communities. 1% at a time. It doesn't have to be very much. I can go school to school, park to park, and do what I do. But I'm one person. Eddie is one person. Working together is how we make a true difference, ladies and gentlemen.
That is absolutely right.
I can't do this alone. I need your help, and I need you guys to go check out the website. Check out my website. If you want to help us, send me an email. The website is allinadays.com. I'm going to show you guys real quick. This website right here, allinadays.com. You can help us out. We have t-shirts, bracelets, stickers, a donation option, because right now everything that we're doing is 100% donation based. We're working on doing things to where we can get paid for this, but it takes time. For us to continue to make this message right and do what we do, it takes individual help and effort from you guys. Sharing the message, sharing the videos, sharing what we're talking about, even just talking about what we do. Telling people about the website is how we make a difference. This has been an All in a Day's Work exclusive, you guys. My man Eddie Lowery here. Please be sure you guys follow him. He's also on TikTok, Facebook, and all his stuff. I'll go ahead and let you tell them where they can find you and all that stuff. All right, brother?
Absolutely. Yeah, my name's Eddie Lowery, 29-year-old Navy vet, former bodybuilder. Now I do a lot of guns, firearms, family, and fitness, the 3 Fs. So what I do is a lot of veteran outreach work with, obviously with Anthony as well. but with different organizations in the area, all combating vet suicide. We do a lot of breaking down boundaries and sharing what we do on my Facebook page. So Eddie Lowery Off the Deep End Facebook is where you can find my podcast Facebook page. I'm also on 8 different platforms. All you got to look up is Off the Deep End, and you'll see a picture of me as a front screen so you can recognize who it is versus anybody who stole the name after me. I've got a bunch of different series from domestic violence to fitness to active shooter prevention to the story of Anthony is on there. Especially the most important, my favorite one out of all of them has to be just spending time talking about what veterans do and how the transition goes and how we can better it. So I'm on Facebook at Eddie Lowery. I'm on Instagram at This Is Eddie Lowery, and I'm on TikTok on Eddie Lowery Off the Deep End. So ELOTDE. So please do reach out. Let's talk. I'd love to hear your story. If you have something similar that you're doing to what Anthony is, if you have some things you like about what Anthony does, please do share his page because he's got it figured out here. Seeing the impact in his community is exactly what we need. And there's no reason why our veterans can't continue to serve after they took off that uniform. So please do make sure to reach out to me, reach out to him, and let's talk.
You guys heard it. Thank you guys for participating with us. I will catch you guys here soon on Facebook and, of course, right here on TikTok. I'm going to be doing a live show later on tonight. I'm going to try to jump back on here. I'll be doing the DJing, the music and stuff here in the studio for you guys. So you guys, please be sure to check us out back here on TikTok. Again, Facebook. We have all in a day's work. All you guys got to do is hit that follow button, you guys. Again, been good to see you guys here on TikTok, Facebook, all you guys out there. We will be seeing you guys here real soon. Stay safe, stay kind, and of course, remember, 1% at a time. That's all it takes, you guys.
Much love, y'all.
It's all in a day's work. Signing off.
All right, badass.